Saying that you have done it.
Mak ayah ada di bawah, adik-beradik ada di bawah sana. Jadi memang satu yang sangat membanggakan.
Protocol was the most important.
Daripada perarakan utama dan
seronok yang bawa tidur pakai jubah tu. Punya seronok orang kampung.
And the setting is something that what and lecturers, they will actually see you and give you saying that
jadi memang satu yang sangat membanggakan. Pertama masuk
There must be law and order. That's all.
Sebab kamera tak ada.
That's the most important thing for
the setting is something
Hardship, Vice Chancellor, University of Malaya, accompanied Ladies and gentlemen, please move in front so that you must fill up at the front row first. Thank you for your cooperation. Please come in front and fill the first row here. Honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, to begin our seminar for today, let us sing our national anthem, Negaraku, and Universiti Malaya song. Please rise to honor the national anthem.
Universiti kesayanganku, sungguh banyak jasamu membentuk insan mulia, berilmu berbudaya.
Honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, please be seated now. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Yang berbahagia Datuk Insinyur Dr. Abdul Rahim Hashim, Vice Chancellor University of Malaya. Yang berbahagia Datuk Profesor Dr. Awam Bugibah Awam Mahmud, Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic International University of Malaya. Yang berbahagia Profesor Dr. Wan Haliza Abdul Majid, Dean of Institute of Graduate Studies, University of Malaya. Top Management of University of Malaya, respected deans, deputy deans, directors, respected guests, and ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A very good morning and a warm welcome to Graduate On Time Seminar 2018. First and foremost, I would like to thank everyone in this hall for allocating time in your busy schedule to attend this seminar. So from the bottom of my heart and all those involved in organizing this seminar, thank you very much. Honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, as to pray for blessing for this morning's gathering, we would like to invite Mr. Muhammad Faisal Mohamed to recite the dua. Please welcome.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين اللهم إنك خلاق العظيم إنك سميع عليم إنك غفور رحيم إنك رب العرش العظيم إنك البر الجواد الكريم اللهم يا حكيم يا عظيم. Sesungguhnya kami berhimpun di sini adalah tidak lain bagi menyatakan kesungguhan, komitmen dan iltizam kami dengan roh dan semangat untuk membangun, membina serta mempertabatkan sistem pendidikan kami. Allahumma ya Karim ya Rahim ya Fa'alul lima yurid. On this blessed morning, in conjunction with the seminars of On Time GOT University of Malaya 2018, we beseech thee and grateful towards you in favor of all the infinite blessing to us, your humble servant, to live in safe and prosperous life. We seek your blessings for flawless progress on this event from the beginning to the end. We seek your guidance to steer clear of events that could determine the progress of this event. May with your blessings, this seminar will run smoothly and the objective are achieved. Ya Allah, Ya Fattah, Ya Alim. Oh Allah, give us wisdom while we talk and elaborate our talks. Open our ears that we may hear the wisdom and good words of others. And open our hands that we may show necessity in all that we do. Oh Allah, we ask your favor, make our certainty the most excellent, take our intention in our works to the best of works. Rabbana alayka tawakkalna wa ilayka anabna wa ilaykal masir. Allahumma ja'al jam'ana hadha jam'an marhuma wa tafarruqana min ba'di tafarruqan ma'suma wa la taj'al Allahumma fina wa la ma'ana wa la matmuna shafqiyan wa la matrudan wa la mahruma. Rabbana tuzigh qulubana ba'da idh hadaytana wa hab lana min ladunka rahmah innaka antal wahhab. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Amin amin ya rabbal alamin. Thank you very much Mr. Muhammad Faisal Mohamed for the doa recital. Honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to start our seminar with a brief explanation about safety during our seminar today. The University of Malaya places high priority on your safety and health. Please take note of the explanation to be presented, as the following details is an emergency procedure that needs to be aware of for this occasion. If the alarm bell sounds or an emergency alert is given by the officer, please keep calm and exit according to the emergency doors at my right-hand side, quickly and steadily to the emergency gathering. Do not use the elevator. Please obey and give full cooperation to the officers. You are required to be in the emergency gathering until the next instruction is given. Thank you very much for your attention. Honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let us welcome our dear Professor Dr. Wan Haliza Abdul Majid, Dean of Institute of Graduate Studies, University of Malaya, to give the welcoming speech. Please welcome.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning and salam sejahtera to everyone. Yang berbahagia Datuk Engineer Abdul Rahim Hashim, Vice Chancellor. Yang berbahagia Datuk Profesor Dr. Awan Bugilba bin Awan Mahmud, Deputy Vice Chancellor of Academic and International. Professor Dr. Zaidatun Tasir, Chairperson, the Council of Deans for Graduate Studies. Ladies and gentlemen. First, let me welcome all of you to the Graduate on Time Seminar 2018. The seminar seeks to give awareness and understanding on what it takes to graduate on time. I thank all of you for your kind attendance and hope that all of us would attain benefit from this event. Not to forget, a deep appreciation to all staff of the Institute of Graduate Studies for their tireless efforts and commitment in breathing this seminar to life. A special thank you for the speakers, Prof. Awang and Prof. Zaidatun, as well as panelists who will enlighten us with their vast knowledge and wisdom on this very important topic. Ladies and gentlemen, graduate on time is one of objective quality of IGS under PT01. The objective quality has stated that 40% of our PhD and Master by Research graduate must achieve GOT. Just to recapture our understanding of what GOT stands for, GOT means that a candidate can finish his or her program inside 4 to 5 semesters or 24 to 30 months for a master's candidate, depending on the mode of study, and 7 semesters or 42 months for a doctoral candidate. As a whole, between the year 2014 to 2017, UM has been working very hard to reach the 40% target. We reached 25.56% in 2014, and the percentage is, however, reduced to 16% in 2017. Even though the number of students GOT increased in the year 2014 to 2017, the percentage of GOT was reduced due to the increase in the number of graduates produced from 403 for the year 2014 to 640 for the year 2017. This is a reality that we have to accept as a challenge ahead. We are confident that we can overcome this challenge maybe in the next 2 to 3 years to come. That is our target. Several factors have been identified to influence GOT, which can be categorized into 4 aspects. One is administrative process of candidature at the central level, which is the IGS, and also at the PTJ levels, the faculties. Second factor is students or the candidate themselves, which are you all here in this room. Supervisors' feedback and response to students' progress. So that's why we are also calling supervisors to this GOT. Infrastructures, research facilities at PTJs where the students carry out their studies. And another factors that we have identified is the examiner's response to thesis examination. So how do IGS has to go about this to solve all these issues? First, we start with the factors that we are within our reach, which we have control, okay, which is ourselves, okay, the IGS management. Okay. So IGS have been working tirelessly and is committed to ensure that progress will always be made on this administrative process of candidature at the central level. To that end, ever since 2014, IGS has made several improvements in our policies and services. We believe that efficiency and effectiveness on our part will contribute to candidates graduating on time. To handle this appropriately, we look firstly onto our processes and procedures. We have just produced and published the revised version of the rules and regulations for doctoral degrees in 2017. The latest edition introduced several changes that are necessary to suit the demands at the time. Among the changes that we have made are, one is entry requirements for admissions to UM's postgraduate programs, the structures of programs mode. The Institute is also looking forward to improving certain aspects of the procedures such as reviewing and updating the e-progress report system for external or retired academics, improvising the 3-month notice system for supervisors' usage, continuously organizing awareness campaign for procedures related to academic matters such as cost waiver and credit transfers. And also, we are in the process of reviewing the duration of an examination process. Of course, our next focus, which plays a major role in this GOT, is the students themselves, our candidates, which are you all here in this hall. More than undergraduates, postgraduate students come from a diverse background, which requires different approaches. Many of our students are married, working. Some of them are foreigners or international and sponsored. And also some are self-sponsored. These dynamics and many other complicated issues related to family life contribute heavily on the capability of our graduates to graduate on time. There were many instances where these non-academic related factors become the prevalent causes of late graduation. In terms of providing consistent and targeted structural support for students, the Institute is currently focused on providing extra classes for free to postgraduate students so that they may enhance the skills needed in order to complete postgraduate studies. These classes are coordinated by the Student Development Unit, which is home to a variety of support services specially designed to assist postgraduate students develop and enhance their research, communication, and writing skills. The unit also organizes seminars, workshops, and short courses regularly to UM postgraduates to assist them during their PhD and master research journey. These activities are delivered by experienced and dedicated academic staff with excellent track records in research and student supervision. The upskill program consists of a set of intensive courses provided to all UM postgraduate candidates to equip them with the essential knowledge and crucial skills they may need throughout their research journey, from the beginning to the completion of their study and beyond. Speakers, the invited speakers, are speakers which conduct the program include experienced academic staff of University of Malaya, speakers from other universities in Malaysia, as well as from abroad. So, the objective of the course offered in the upskill program are providing candidates with basic knowledge before embarking on their research and writing up, help candidates to develop ideas in making their research more inventive and innovative, provide a platform for candidates to exchange ideas and share knowledge with one another, assist candidates in developing better skill in writing and publishing their research findings in reputable journals, prepare candidates with good skills and knowledge before they begin their experience in their working environment. So the upskill program is designed to assist candidates to reach the milestone for the development of their research. Our comprehensive range of seminars and workshops under this program comprising of 3 modules. The first module is writing the research proposal, writing the literature review, determining the research design and process, constructing the theoretical conceptual framework. The second module is seminars and workshops, designed for candidates who are at the middle stage of their research writing. The third module is the seminars and workshops, designed for candidates who are at the final stage of their research writing. In addition to the regularly scheduled seminars and workshops offered in modules 1, 2, and 3, we also provide other courses to help candidates improve their personal development skills, such as communication skill, critical thinking skills, stress management, and also time management. Another approach towards GOT, which is related to student development skill, is through the University of Malaya 3-minute thesis, so what we call as UM3MT. The UM3MT is an annual communication competition designed for PhD candidates to showcase their academic and research communication skills through a 3-minute presentation. The competition is held at both the faculty and university levels, involving all areas of studies from science and technology to social science and humanities. During that short specific time of 3 minutes, participants must concisely explain their research in a language that is comprehensible for a lay audience with the aid of a single projected PowerPoint slide. Judged by a panel of non-specialist personalities, the presentation must meet 3 criteria of scoring: communication style, comprehension, and audience engagement. Apart from these skill development programs, IGS also offers physical support in terms of providing space for which the students can work in. We do understand that postgraduate studies require a significant amount of focus, and therefore, learning spaces are provided, which were categorized into 2: thesis hub and study room. A student may apply for these facilities online at spesa.um.edu.my. So, what we say, it takes 2 to tango. So another element that we need to consider is supervisors. Supervisors also play a significant role in students graduate on time. That is why we have invited supervisors in this hall, young lecturers, to these GOT seminars together with their students today. We hope supervisors are conscious of the candidature life cycle of their students and also familiar with the rules and regulation of the higher degree. We are anticipating that they can provide accurate advice to their students and also always give timely feedback to their students' progress. EDAC has also provided supervision module training to young lecturers in UM. We hope they will be more prepared to supervise their students effectively, which will certainly result in students to graduate on time, or GOT. We also realize that in order for the student to GOT, the research facilities must be properly maintained. The university must find an effective way of keeping their facilities up to date and skillfully well kept. Equipment breakdown has certainly caused longer time for candidates to perform their experiments and research. Supervisors and candidates must also prepare themselves with backup plan to encounter any unforeseen circumstances which may cause their students to spend unproductive time in their candidature. Another major issue is time spent by examiners to evaluate a thesis. This is certainly a factor which is difficult to regulate. Once the thesis is in examiner's hand, then we have no control and at their mercy. Under normal circumstances, the appointed examiners are given 2 months to evaluate a thesis. However, our study indicates that for the month of September 2017, 80% of examiners took longer than 3 months to send us back the examiner's report. This certainly has lengthened the time taken by the students to complete their studies and has affected their graduation on time. IGS is reviewing the policy and is trying to find a practical solution on these issues. We will also welcome your suggestion to overcome this issue. Just contact me or email me if you have any ideas how to solve this problem. I do know that despite all these efforts, there are many aspects that can be improved on so that we may achieve the target of 40% graduation on time. IGS will always continue to be at the forefront of this effort and will work together with other departments seamlessly. These are our mission and aspiration within the GOT context. I remember during my PhD time, 1993, when I first met my supervisor, the first thing I did is I actually talked to him that I only have 36 months to finish my PhD because that is the time when I'm given a sponsorship. So I talked closely to my supervisors. We work out a plan so that we can finish early, even though when I went to this University of Sheffield, that is where I did my PhD, we have not set up the lab yet. Okay, so I was involved in setting up the lab with my supervisor, together with my supervisor. So 6 months was taken just to set up the lab. But with a proper planning and time management, I managed to graduate before 36 months of the time given by the sponsors. Okay, so I think you also can do that, okay, with time management. So before I end this speech, let me again welcome each of you to this seminar. On behalf of the organizer, I hope that everyone will enjoy the seminar, and should there be some weaknesses or glitches along the way, I sincerely offer a heartfelt apology. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Wan Haliza, for the warm welcoming speech. Honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, now we have come to the official opening ceremony of the Graduate on Time Seminar 2018. With this, I would like to invite our guest of honor, Yang Berbahagia Datuk Insinyur Dr. Abdul Rahim Hashim, Vice Chancellor of University of Malaya, to give a speech and officiate our seminar for today. Please welcome.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bahagia Datuk Profesor Dr. Awang Bulgibah, Deputy Vice Chancellor of Academic and International. Bahagia Professor Datuk Rohana, Vice Chancellor of Student Affairs and Alumni. Sometimes we always say HEPA, we forget about the English version of it. Bahagia Professor Dr. Zaidatun Tasir, Chairman of the Deans of Graduate Studies Council. She's from Universiti Technology Malaysia, from Skudai. Professor Dr. Wan Haliza Abdul Majid, Dean of Institute of Graduate Studies. Members of the University Management, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera and a very good morning to everyone. First of all, it gives me a great pleasure to be here this morning to welcome everyone to this 2018 Graduate on Time Seminar. I understand that this seminar was actually done quite a few years ago. So this is, we actually welcome this seminar back. Well, I think it is very, very important that we have such a seminar, especially for Graduate on Time for postgraduate students. Normally, we will actually include as well issues of Graduate on Time for undergraduates, but this particular one is specific to postgraduates, which is actually organized by the Institute of Graduate Studies. So thank you for being here. We actually expect about 250 of you to be here. But just to put in context, the university has got a total of about 24,000 students on campus, of which half of it, about 12,000, are postgraduate students. Yeah, and of course this consists of both masters as well as PhD students themselves. I guess for PhD students, roughly we got about what, maybe 6,000, yeah, on campus, and it's very, very important to ensure that those taking their doctoral program actually graduate on time. Now, why that is so is that when you look in terms of the Malaysian Education Blueprint, which was actually launched in 2016, one of the shifts, there are altogether 10 shifts. One of the shifts is actually on financial stability. Somehow or other it gets entangled with this so-called financial stability, which calls for increased productivity and improved cost efficiency in public universities. And one of the items in that particular shift itself is actually graduating on time. This is very, very important because it relates in terms of the productivity, the productivity of the university itself. And there are actually two primary drivers as far as academic productivity is concerned, which is actually intake graduation on time, which we call it IGOT, and the other one is actually annual cost per full-time student equivalent, or the annual cost per FTSE, full-time student equivalent. Now, the issue that we have actually is that if you, I guess, both for local as well as international, if you don't sort of fulfill the graduation on time stipulation, then of course for the local students, you are mostly career, but the other area is that you will actually hold back further intake subsequently, yeah, because supervisors perhaps allowed maybe in some instances it can go between 5 to 10, but then they cannot get more students on board. Now, as far as UM is concerned, unfortunately, our record has not been particularly good. Yeah, if you look in terms of, let me check that. If you look in terms of the stats, which is I'll just show it on graph. It's all going downhill. We had a fairly good year in 2014 at 25%. Then it went downhill to about 16%. And as Prof. Wan Haliza mentioned earlier, the target is actually 40%. So we've got a long, long way to go. And obviously, there are issues, yeah, which was mentioned by Prof. Wan Haliza earlier. But again, this is a lot of it, to me, some are real, some are anecdotal, but they are not really evidence-based per se. Yeah. If I just show another one which is related to masters, which is perhaps better, has gone up to about almost 42% as far as the graduate on time is concerned. So they are meeting the requirements of the Ministry of Higher Education target of more than 40% as far as masters is concerned. So we still need to do a lot more work on when you look in terms of what are the possible causes, of course, obviously some of them are administrative in nature, as mentioned earlier by Professor Wan Haliza, which we need to improve as far as university is concerned, yeah, both in terms of enrollment and then the foreign students, issue of visa, issue of supervisors and so on and so forth. But the process itself needs to be perhaps, quote unquote here, tightened a bit in terms of perhaps every semester. I think somehow or other we need to look at your progress as far as your program is concerned and what some of these issues that you are facing. But I can actually quote a study that was actually done by Monash University, I think last year. This is in relation to undergraduate study. If you read the Star last Thursday, this is 1st of February, which is last week, is actually indicated in terms of why some of the undergraduates are actually facing some issues. Of course, issues which are not dissimilar with postgraduate students. I think one of the areas that they mentioned what faces the undergraduate students are independent learning and research assignments. Yeah? They're not used to independent learning. They're not used to sort of research assignments because assignments get into their sort of schedule quite a bit. But this perhaps is not quite related to hopefully to postgraduate students per se. Perhaps for the master's students, but not quite for PhD students. I guess you have gone through your undergraduate days, you have gone through your master's program, and perhaps for PhD students, this should be coming on board. The other area that also is affecting the undergraduates are actually on time management. And I'm sure this impacts everyone, yeah? Whether you are undergraduate, whether you're a master's, you're a PhD student, it's still an issue as far as time management. More so that you have got your families with you. Yeah, the demands of the family time, especially for the ladies, yeah, who's perhaps you are a mother to a few children, then you have got a husband to take care of, and so on and so forth. So you have issues as far as time management is concerned. So it's very, very important to address this. Now, the other area that's impacting also the undergraduate, which is similar to, I guess, postgraduates, both masters and PhD, is the command of English. Yeah, this, fortunately, unfortunately, majority of the programs that we have here is English. Now, the question is that because my wife is also a professor, she's in accounting, and she always comes back with thick books of having to go through the thesis themselves. Yeah? And invariably, one of the concerns that she has, and I'm sure a lot of supervisors have, is having to go through such thesis in terms of the written English. Yeah? And you are actually not just correcting the subject matter itself, you are actually correcting the actual sentence structure and so on and so forth. So the issue is that if you can actually have a good command as far as the writing of it, not just in terms of the communication of it, but in terms of writing, then it does help both the supervisors as well as yourself to get your thesis done in the appropriate manner. So that's command in English is very, very important. And the other area that perhaps not quite relevant here, but for the undergraduate students, is the general lack of critical thinking skills. So hopefully when you reach this stage, it's no longer an issue. This is again the result of our education system spoon-feeding our kids in terms of how they learn at school. So all this, when you actually sort of summarize this, ensuring the readiness of our postgraduate students as well as undergraduate students are very, very important. Yeah, both from the point of the academic side of it, in terms of what sort of knowledge is required, especially communication, especially in English, as far as the academic side of it. But I think the other skills is also very, very important, which I mentioned earlier in terms of time management, in terms of how do you conduct research, yeah? Especially in the first 2 semesters of your time on campus. I always relate to this. If you have done well in the first 2 semesters of your program, doesn't matter whether you're undergraduate, postgraduate, then the momentum that takes you to the next level is very, very crucial. So your relationship with your supervisors is extremely, extremely crucial up front, yeah, trying to plan what's required, what needs to be done over the next maybe seven semesters. I think this is crucial indeed. And the other area is, of course, the psychological aspect, yeah, of yourself. Because a lot of times when we mention all this, it gets back to the university system and processes, it gets back to the, the supervisors, but at the end of the day, it's actually you, yeah, which are actually going to determine whether you're going to be successful during that period of time. So psychological aspects is very, very important. Yeah, how do you make sure that there is the self-discipline, there is independence, and so on and so forth. People always think that, yeah, we all should be independent by now, and so on and so forth, but not quite, because some of the students who are doing their doctoral program get straight from undergraduate program into the master's direct, and sometimes they go straight into PhD program also on direct basis. So you still have the issues of some of the skills that's required. Now, as far as UM is concerned, obviously we are all very, very concerned in terms of making sure that the students that we have on campus graduate on time. They are given the full support that's required. Yeah, of course we have got the Institute of Graduate Studies to assist you, and also the other support system within the university itself. Obviously, there are some issues that needs to be addressed appropriate to make it more effective, to make it more efficient. That's something which we need to do better. But at the same time, making sure that you yourself are also equipped in order to undertake such, I guess, quite intensive program over 7 semesters, as is for the doctoral program. Now, for us, as far as this seminar is concerned, hopefully you can learn from some of the, I guess, cases, because a lot of the people right in front on the in the auditorium has gone through their own experiences. Yeah, I guess I've listened to Prof. Dato' Awang's life history as well. So we'll probably share with you later into what he went through, and yet still graduated with PhD in 3.5 years, 42 months. Yeah, so he's going to share with you some of that, and I'm sure others also have similar stories as well. Yeah. So I guess the resilience of a person is extremely, very, very important. Yeah, because the challenges that you go through is nothing short, but it is life-changing for you. Because especially if you want to go into academic world, without a PhD, you will get nowhere. Yeah, this is very, very basic, and we at UM will not take anybody without that qualification. Yeah, you're going to stay with us. That's what you're going to stay with us. And we actually welcome people to continue their research at UM. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much to the organizing committee for organizing this. We ought to have this, I guess, not say more often, but consistent, so that we can share some of the issues that you may have, yeah, and some of the things that we have undertaken, which hopefully will assist you in ensuring that you actually graduate on time. So with that, thank you again for your kind attention.
Thank you, Yang Berbahagia Dato' Insinyur Dr. Abdul Rahim Hashim, Vice Chancellor of University of Malaya, for officially opening the Graduate on Time seminar and for that inspiring speech. Honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, as the saying goes, for every beginning there is an ending, and now our opening ceremony has come to its end. We would like to express the highest appreciation to Yang Berbahagia Dato' Insinyur Dr. Abdul Rahim Hashim, Vice Chancellor of University of Malaya, for officiating our seminar for today. With that, I would like to invite Honorable guests, Vice Chancellor, Deputy Vice Chancellor, Top Management of University of Malaya, Deans and Deputy Deans to the foyer for refreshments. Presentation on Gardens of Knowledge. Thank you.
Coba suara 1, 2, 3 tes 1, 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, our forum will start in a short time. Please find a seat and make yourself comfortable. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, we are about to hear the keynote speech. But before that, please enjoy our video presentation on Winners Never Waste. Please sit back and enjoy the video.
I wish to become faster, better, because every second I've wasted won't come back. I'm here to become better, faster. I'm here to become stronger, smarter. Waste your time, then you'll falter. If it isn't now, then it's never. Waste your time, then you'll falter. If it isn't now, then it's never. Winners never waste.
Honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Let us welcome Yang Berbahagia Datuk Profesor Dr. Awan Bulgiba Wan Mahmud, Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic International University of Malaya, to give the keynote speech on making the cut. Please welcome.
So, coursework students, research students? Research students, excellent. Now I'm going to talk about a few things, but this is not from the administrator's perspective. I'm going to share my own experience in doing a PhD, and whether you want to make use of that experience or not, it's entirely up to you. But I would like you to think about what I'm going to share with you. Now, I came to late as a lecturer. I joined university 20 years ago, January in 1998. That is 20 years. And I started off as an honorary lecturer with only a master's degree. In my own field, the PhD was not necessary, but I decided to do a PhD anyway. So this is a brief outline of my talk. There are 9 parts. I'm going to talk about my own experience and what I believe would help you complete your PhD on time. Frequently, as DVC of Academic and International, I get a lot of appeals from students as well as staff whom we sponsor to do PhDs. And they cannot finish on time, and I cannot understand the basis of their appeals. There is usually a common thread to their appeals, and I can almost guess when the appeal letter comes to me what they're going to say. I can almost guess. So I do not believe that in many of these cases the appeal is warranted, and I'll share with you why. So this is the outline of my presentation. Before I did my PhD, in my own small room in my department, I had this on the wall. This is a saying by Woodrow Wilson, formerly President of the United States. It says, "We grow great by dreams." All big men, of course women too, are dreamers. They see soft things, whatever. Now, I dreamed of being a professor one day. When I became a lecturer in UM, I thought, okay, I just wanted to become a professor, just one day, maybe 10 years from the start of the day I set foot in UM. Within 10 years, I'll be a full professor. And I did. I became a full professor in 10 years. Of course, in that time, I realized I made several mistakes. And I thought, I really could cut that time down to 7 years. So in my juniors in my department, I tell them, look, I took 10 years, but I'll tell you how to do it in 7. Because all of you must become better than me at the end of the day. So I'm here to share with you my own experience. Don't take this as somebody who's bragging about his or her own achievements. I do not need to brag because what I've done speaks for itself. All right? And I had this on my wall for 3 years before I went for my PhD in 2001. I was already quite old when I went for my PhD. In 2001, I was already, 38 years old. To start a PhD at 38 years old is considered very old. Most people do the PhD before they become university lecturers. So in the early 30s, when becoming university lecturers, they already got their PhD. So at 38, I was about to start on my PhD. And when you do that, you've already got a family, you've got things to worry about. Okay. So this is my own take on doctoral studies. I assume that most of you are research degree students, so we're talking about doctoral studies here. Let me ask you this question. Are you having a difficult time? No. None of you are having a difficult time. Absolutely great, right? Or are you all having a difficult time? You're having a difficult time. Okay. This is what people tell me, A PhD is either something you graduated with, which is permanent head damage, which people say. Or in Malay, people say pingat hasad dengki or whatever. Right? There are lots of things when you say, what is this PhD? And some people say that, in Malay, they say, this is this kertas puaka yang you nak sangat. What is this PhD? And why is it so difficult? Everybody who I talk to says they have a difficult time during a PhD. I said, really? Okay. This is my own doctoral struggle. Remember, I was 38 years old when I started my studies. So I was quite old already at that time. I did a PhD in the School of Computing Science in the UK, not here. My first 3 degrees was from this university. Now, I'm not an IT person. I'm not a computer scientist. I'm not a data person either. So I was doing it outside my own field. So I didn't do it in public health. I went to the School of Computing Science. Why? Because doing it in public health would have been too easy for me. I have 2 master's degrees. One public health, another one applied masters, applied stats, which I did part-time when I was holding 2 jobs. I was both a lecturer and turning around the IT department in the hospital at that time. At that time, I did my second master's, Applied Statistics, Faculty of Economics, 6 to 9 at night. So I completed the coursework in 2 years, despite turning around the IT department full load as a lecturer. No dispensation given. But I did this PhD in computing science, in health informatics, because the Vice Chancellor at that time, there was Dato' Anwar Zaini, challenged me. And I cannot resist a challenge. Why didn't you become the first doctor with a PhD in health informatics? Later, I almost regretted taking up that challenge. But I'll tell you about it. So when I arrived in the UK, my supervisor immediately said, you don't even have an IT degree. But I managed an IT department in a hospital, so I know a lot about IT, but practical experience, no theoretical background. Go for classes, first year, no research for you. So go back to classes, learn about Laplace, Fourier transform, systems development, programming, Java, MATLAB, first year. So during that time, while going for these classes, I decided to come up with my proposal. So what else can I do? You go for classes, start from 9 o'clock, sometimes until 6. I was wondering, I'm wasting my time here, right? 1 year, And then the clock is ticking. Tick-tock, tick-tock, clock's ticking. My God. I've only got 3 years scholarship to finish this. So my supervisor said, I will write to your university, ask for 1 year extension right away, because there is no way in hell you are going to complete this within 3 years with this 1 year coursework. So he wrote. Fortunately, the university said, okay, your supervisor is the one who wrote. We'll give you 1 year extension right away because it is impossible for you to complete it within 3 years. Okay. I didn't have any research funds. At that time, money was scarce. I couldn't get data from UK hospitals. They kept turning me down. Who is going to give you medical data? This brown Asian guy wants to get confidential patient data from UK hospital. You think it's easier? Forget about it. So I got the data from a Malaysian hospital because I happen to know the DG of Health at the time. After all, I spent my first 10 years of my working life in the Ministry of Health. And I did get to know the DG of Health at that time. So I have to thank the DG of Health at the time, and which I did. So my mother had terminal cancer when I was doing my PhD. I rushed back to be with her. She passed away about a week. I think she was just hanging on for me to come back, a week after I came back. So I was with her the last few nights of her life. Okay, and I'm the firstborn. This affected me emotionally. I had a horrendous time in Selayang Hospital because the system, the Selayang Hospital where I got the data from, is the first so-called paperless hospital in Malaysia. But the system is meant to store data for individual patient use rather than getting it out for mass use. So just to get about 8,000 patient records, I had to import and transfer 65 million records. 65 million records, and the process is always failing. You leave it running overnight, come back next morning, fail. Something's wrong with the script. Do, redo, run again. You have to do it at night because when the load on the production server is the least. Otherwise, they wouldn't allow you to do it. It will just slow down everything. And it will fail again and again and again. I was wondering, how am I going to combine all these 65 million records? Fortunately, a vendor I had met during my IT department days as a manager of IT department in the hospital helped me because he had come up with his own data mining tool to do this, and he could do this. So he helped me. Without his help, it would have been impossible for me to extract the data. So I had help from unexpected sources. In the UK, my wife has asthma, never admitted here in the hospital, but in the colder months, she was admitted twice as well. Once I thought she would die. It was so bad. Can you imagine? I'm a doctor. I worked in the emergency department before for 2 years, and I know when asthma is really, really bad. We had a Malaysian colleague in Cambridge who died of asthma. He's asthmatic. He always thought, okay, he's going to get better. From the doctor's point of view, you know when he's not getting better. So I was very afraid of my wife's health. Fortunately, my pharmacy colleagues in the hospital posted a large amount of medicines for me. Luckily, they never checked. If they checked, they were wondering, my God, this is a large amount of medicine to be importing. And not a registered pharmaceutical company. Why the hell are you importing this drug? Fortunately, they never checked. If not, I was thinking, how can I get these drugs to make sure that it will maintain us for the 3 years? So I had a lot of difficulties. I was very thankful that pray to God, man, God, please don't check the post, the parcel which I sent. But my pharmacy colleagues in the hospital were very helpful, so they helped me. At that time, because this was after the Asian financial crisis, £1 was 7 plus. Oh, that's terrible, really terrible. And the scholarship was, at that time, I think £650, something like that. But God helped me. We stayed in a council flat, which was very well maintained. And we had free heating, free water. Water is £10 per month, whatever amount you use, and free electricity. No need to use gas. Cooking is by electricity also. So for £280 a month, everything is covered. The place is very warm, so there's no damp and so on. So I said, God really helped me through this period. And even in winter, I was walking around in t-shirts at home, whereas other people had to, heating bills in winter, terrible, isn't it? Yeah. If you got a big house, it is really terrible. Okay. And this is the part, very sad. I had a supervisor and co-supervisor. We never met. And I asked him, how come we never sat down together? I didn't know it, but my supervisor and co-supervisor didn't see eye to eye. Why the hell were they assigned both to me? I had no idea. No idea at all. Why the hell is these two persons who could not see eye to eye were assigned to the same student? So they never met. When I was writing up, my supervisor left the university without telling us, the students under his care. For 2 months, I was passing my drafts and not getting no reply. Finally, I went to the school office and said, what's happened to my supervisor? He had some problems with the school. So he decided to take a year's leave. No pay, of course. He left. So I was left in the lurch. I said, look, co-supervisor doesn't know my work. My supervisor has left the university. What do you expect me to do? I'm writing up now. So what do I do? So assign a co-supervisor to me. Thank heavens, my co-supervisor, even though it's not really his field, he took on the challenge. Okay, I'll be your only supervisor. And I still completed it. My viva took 6 months to arrange because the school messed it up. After I submitted, they forgot to send. Forgot to send the thesis to the examiner, and it was summer. When it's summer, these people start traveling, conference here, conference there, no time to mark, and that's it. So finally, at the end of it, my visa was running out. I said to the school, look, I'm going to end 4 years here. I submitted 3.5. But after having finished 4 years, my scholarship will finish. There's no way the university will give me another year. And I don't think I want to pay for another year's visa. So can you pay for my flight to come back here and for my viva? Miraculously, I said, miraculously, I got the viva a few days before I flew back. It's a miracle. I think it's a miracle because they didn't want to pay for the flight ticket. Simply because of that. Because I was just sitting around every 2 weeks, disturb the school office, say, okay, can I have the viva date? Because I really need to get back. I plan to submit at 3.5 months to give myself time to do my corrections. Okay, so I submitted at 3.5 years, inclusive of the 1 year coursework, which meant I did my research in 2.5. 1 year was just spent doing nothing but going up and down for classes. So my research only took 2.5 years from start to submission of my thesis. So how did I survive? That's why I'm not very favorably disposed to appeals by students and by staff, because they say, what the hell, you know? You talk about these problems as though you are the only one in the world having these problems. I went through all this. How did I survive? I survived because, number one, I really truly believe myself, and I believe God had this time that I survived. My late mother always said, you know, I'm the firstborn. So she said, can you, for the sake of the family, be a medical doctor? I said, why? I didn't want to become a medical doctor in the first place. I wanted to become an engineer. I said, because you're the only one, or my children, she said, who will survive anywhere. Throw you anywhere, you will survive, and you will do well. So I became a medical doctor because my mother said that, okay. And of course, she enlisted my uncle, who's a doctor, to persuade me. So I didn't become a doctor because I wanted to become rich or anything like that, because I truly believed that I could survive anywhere. So I thought, okay, so I believe in myself. And I believe God will help me, provided I do whatever is possible and I don't just leave everything to fate. I am a very systematic person. People have noticed this in me, and they will say that, very systematic. Every 3 months, quarterly report will be sent to all the deans, deputy deans, top management, reporting on the progress of my portfolio. A habit which I started a long time ago, even as deputy dean. I'm also a person who likes task lists. Do, what date? Finish, cross out, tick. I used to carry these small notebooks, write down tasks. End of the day, finish. Not finish, carry forward next day, write new task list. Finish. Why? Because you cannot remember otherwise. So everything in my hard disk systematically arranged. 4 main folders: Awang 1, Awang 2, Awang 3, Awang 4. Awang 1 is work, Awang 2 personal, Awang 3 was my studies, my masters, my PhD, whatever files. Bachelor, no lah. At that time, no computers. Abang 4 is God knows what. There's anything else. So very systematic. And of course, I carry a 2 terabyte pen drive everywhere, and I have a 1 terabyte Dropbox account, which is linked to my iPad, my phone, my laptop. So one change made here, the moment everything switched on is synchronized across all the devices, automatically back up. Despite that, I still back up to 2 external hard disks every week. So when I was doing my PhD, at that time hard disks were all quite small, so I used DVDs and CDs to back up. So you had to burn it every week. And I sent 2 weekly reports to my supervisor. I don't know whether he read those reports every week. So every second Friday afternoon, we'll be spent writing a report, detailing what I'd done for the last 2 weeks, what the problems I had, and how I plan to tackle the next 2 weeks. The idea is I need to keep track of my progress and extract that information back into my thesis. I leave nothing to chance. Nothing must be left to chance. Everything has to be planned out for. Why? The unexpected, not a problem, because those are unexpected. But those expected, I would have already anticipated that this might happen. So nothing is left to chance. So you have to think ahead. People might say, how far ahead do you think? I think 5 to 10 years ahead. So at the beginning of my PhD, I'm thinking of the end of my PhD. I'm already thinking of the end. When I took the job up as DVC for research, at that time Tan Sri Gauss was the Vice Chancellor. Don't worry, Tan Sri, I've got my own exit strategy, first day on the job. I plan to finish everything within the 3 years, assuming nobody wants to reappoint me. So I must finish everything within that appointed time, because nothing is left to this assumption that I will be renewed, I will be extended. Nothing. Finish it within that time. I leave plenty of time for unexpected events. That's why 4-year scholarship, submission must be 3.5, leaving 6 months for unexpected events. Unexpected events can happen. Somebody dies, somebody gets sick, you fall sick, lab blows up, consumables don't arrive. So who knows? Anything can happen, right? Yes. That's why they say, some people say PhD is permanent head damage. At the end of it, you get permanent head damage, right? So you have to leave plenty of time for these unexpected events which can cause permanent head damage. And I pay a lot of attention to detail. Even though I'm a big picture person, I pay a lot of attention to detail. So I nag people, look, not done. Where is this? I need this. Without this information, I cannot anticipate the next one. And actually, I'm fairly efficient. So when somebody asks me, all right, can you do this conference in October? Okay, so let me think of a topic. Okay, this is a topic, this is synopsis. The next week, I'll start creating my slides already. Hi, October? You want to create slides now? Yes. Because done, file away. No need to do anymore. Don't have to worry. So the same way I manage my email. I have 5 email accounts. 100 labels control my email, 100 different filters. So unimportant ones get filtered right away, archived right away to be right at the end of the day. Despite that, I read all the UM info and all the staff academic list, God knows what they write inside there, every day. And I check the spam folder and the trash also every day. Because some emails get wrongly directed to the spam folder by these overzealous spam filters. So I miss nothing. Okay. If I miss something, it is an unusual lapse on my part. Right. And the last one, I was not dependent on my supervisor at all. As far as I was concerned, no supervisor also didn't really matter to me. I could do the work on my own. When I submitted my thesis, I didn't even need to go for proofreading for language. My supervisor, who's an Englishman, said, your language is impeccable. No need to go for proofreading, editing. He's an Englishman, okay, I assume he knows what he's talking about. So, I was not dependent on my supervisor. I assumed that my supervisor is too busy for me. But when my supervisor did not reply my emails for 2 months, I knew something had to be wrong. You know, how can you not reply emails from your students for 2 months? Didn't say yes, noted, thank you, I'll take a look later, nothing. I knew there was something was wrong. Okay, I have 5 essential questions of any doctoral candidates. And take note of this. Okay, first question, where's your Gantt chart? How many of you have Gantt charts already all planned out for the entire 36 months? Yes. Excellent. Now the question is, did you stick to your Gantt chart? How many of you got plan B, plan C all mapped out already? You got plan A, which is what you're doing now. Where is your plan B and your plan C? How many of you got plan B, plan C? Plan B. Plan C. Not asking about plan D. You don't have. Then you're inviting disaster. What happens if the lab blows up? What happens if that consumable does not arrive? Is there a backup plan for you? You don't have what? No problem. Are you efficient and systematic enough? Because this is a doctoral degree, a research degree. You have to be systematic. You have to make use of that limited time that you have here. For our international students, this is even worse. Because you are here probably on sponsorship, you have limited time, you don't want to pay for visa fees again and again, right? Right? You don't want to do that. So you have to be systematic and efficient to complete this on time. Do you pay attention to detail? You don't just gloss over. Detail, details, details. And do you have insight? This is a difficult question. What do you mean by insight? Do you realize not just your strengths, but your own weaknesses? I can tell you what my weaknesses are. Yes. If you know your weaknesses better than you know your strengths, then you probably have insight. If you only know your strengths and you think you are the best person in the world, which some of my students think they know better than me, no? Tell you, yes, some of my students think they know better than me, yes, despite not having 4 degrees and 4 fellowships, then there's something seriously wrong. You don't realize where your own problems are. Okay, so do you have insight? Is your Gantt chart? Don't have one? Why not? Why not? Are you planning to just blunder along, plot along until, lama, finish 36 months already? If you have one, how well are you sticking to it? Or do you keep on shifting your Gantt chart because it looks better on the Gantt chart? Well, must finish by end of 6 months. Oh, cannot finish. Let's extend to 9 months. Cannot finish. Extend to 12 months. Cannot finish. That was the point of having the Gantt chart in the first place, right? So, why are you not sticking to the Gantt chart? You only do not stick to the Gantt chart if an adverse, unexpected event occurs. How well have you apportioned time? How well? Have you considered your supervisor? Is your supervisor slow? Is your supervisor efficient? Is your supervisor the best that you can get in that field? Or is your supervisor worse than you? Or God forbid, your supervisor doesn't like you at all. So have you considered that? My aim when I was doing my PhD is that I have to assume my supervisor doesn't think I'm worth anything. So I may have to get by without my supervisor at all. Do you plan 36 months ahead? We're not asking for 5 years, 10 years. Like I said, when I became a lecturer in UM, my plan was full professor in 10 years, associate professor in 5. I was wondering how to do this in 5. Don't know head or tail also. But you learn from people. Do you work backwards? Outcome based. This is your outcome. Work backwards. Is it possible? Right now, I'm under great pressure to deliver something for MOSTI, for Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation. The project is a little bit delayed, so I really had to push this. I'm supposed to come out with, I'm heading this task force to come up with a new national policy on science, technology and innovation. The review, we are reviewing the current policy now and coming up with a new policy. Review is supposed to take 8 months, but because of my double job, being acting VC and so on, the review is due end of this month. And I just finished the workshop with the review. I said, okay, the writer, right, you got until Friday to give me the first draft. Because next week I'm presenting to a panel already. And I need these 60 slides ready by the weekend, plus the draft write-up ready by Friday so that I can read it and present to the committee next week. If the committee agrees with it, I have to present to MOSTI. If they agree with it, by the end of the month, by 28th February, I'm going to give them the written report. I said, wow. But I'm already thinking of the next part of the project, which is coming out with a new policy. So the workshop was very intense that we ran. We ran from starting at 8 o'clock at night until 11, next morning start again until 11 at night. And then I worked them until 1 p.m. Say, are you all happy? Yes, but they're all exhausted. Because if not, I cannot get this done in time. So you have to work backwards. You know your target, work backwards, always work backwards. This is just a snapshot of my own Gantt chart. This is a 2003. I expected to be able to submit at the end of March 2005 at that time. So the program was still going on. I was starting on my chapters, even 2002. So my chapter 1 is being written in 2002. And my chapter 2 is being written then also, only needed updating. It's only that towards the end I will be looking at the last few chapters. So I had certain outcomes which I needed to deliver again and again and again, why I left, for example, a long time for chapter 6, because I thought I need at least 4 or 5 drafts before my supervisor will be satisfied. So I work on the assumption that at the end, because I've done most of the work, 8 chapters would take me no more than 8 weeks. 1 week per chapter writing at the end, because it's just re-editing. That's my own take. So work on the chapters right from the very beginning. So at the end of it, when you're editing, it's 1 week per chapter. Now my student says, Prof, can I give you 1 month later? No, not 1 month later. You're now editing, it's 1 week per chapter. Why? Because I can do it 1 week per chapter, so you also can do it in 1 week per chapter. Can I read this when I was acting VC? Not possible for me to read within 24 hours or 48 hours. But now, yes, I give myself 72 hours to read 1 whole chapter. 70 pages, 80 pages, I can do it in 72 hours. Because I really know what to expect. Okay? So if I can get back to the student in 72 hours, the student can damn well be able to edit within a week. I don't see any reason why they cannot. So what is your plan B, plan C? What if things don't go according to plan? Where is your plan B? How much time is there for plan B? Is there a need for a plan C? How creative are you in finding solutions? There are always There's always a way around something. But it depends on how creative you are, right? Are you too dependent on your supervisor? I had this student, international student, who's really dependent on me. She eventually finished in 5 years lah. Well, what to do lah? Sometimes okay, I really pity her, because I tend to get very annoyed with my students. I said, "No, it's rubbish, it's crap. Can you just redo?" And then she would say, "Oh, sorry, Prof, I stupid woman, You must forgive me." Okay lah, because her English was not very good either. And when she says that, okay lah, I said, "I stupid woman, Prof." Really touched me. Okay lah, stupid woman. Are you efficient and systematic enough? Can you multitask? Now, this is a bit funny when I ask people, can you multitask it? I once had this question from my PhD student and said, Prof, how do you do this? Then I said, who's the student here? Who's the supervisor? If I show you, you learn nothing, right? Why don't you go and find out? So I said, can you do this? Can you complete your task ahead of the time? So, do you list this in order of priority? What needs to be done first? Not all tasks have the same priority, obviously, right? Not all. So the ones which affect you the most urgent ones, the ones which need time to complete must be done first. For example, if it's in a lab, you need to order these chemicals. They take 3 weeks to come because they have to be imported, you have to pass through MITI, clearance, whatnot. Why don't you do the paperwork for that first? Once that's out of the way, then you do the others. Because if you leave that to the last, you'll add another 3 weeks to your Gantt chart. So you cannot afford to waste the time. So whatever takes up the most time has to be prioritized first, so that you know it's out of the way, you're just waiting. Just a waiting period. And the others then can be done. Do you make backups? Nowadays it's very easy because you've got Google Drive, you've got Dropbox, whatnot. During my days, there was no such thing. Now it's instantaneous backup. But last time, that was terrible. I had to make these rewritable CDs and DVDs of all my data, that every week, because I was so afraid of losing them, I had 5 backups. One on my laptop, another one on the server in the university, and then 2 on CDs, and another one on external hard disk. That was how paranoid I was. Why? Because I've had students who lost their laptop, stolen by somebody, and everything is in the laptop. You cry. Imagine, you cry. This is your life's work, and you have no backup. At least, if I lose everything and I've only got the backup in my CD, at least I know that's 1 week behind time. But I can recover 1 week, right? But can you recover 3 years or 2 years if you've lost all your results and they're nowhere else to be found? Do you make the best use of technology? Now everything is connected, so people, you have Dropbox synchronized everywhere and so on. You get online, get all the journals that you want. Incidentally, nowadays, I think nobody goes to the library and looks for printed journals, right? Or you never heard of printed journals anyway. I think when I started my PhD, once I started my PhD, I realized that I had never actually gone to the library to find a printed journal. It was all soft copy from then onwards. And I used to ask the library, why do you still subscribe to this printed version? There must be an online version somewhere or a PDF version, right? So there's no need for it. Do you anticipate things before they happen, like I said, and do you cover all the bases? All the bases. People who play baseball, I think, probably will know this. Have you checked out what are considered successful theses? The ones which have got distinctions. What did they do right? I had a distinction student a few years ago, PhD thesis. I must say she's a little bit obsessive lah. Really, really obsessive. Obsessive about detail, obsessive. I said, wow, good lah, this student. No need to do anything, just push her along. She would just go on autopilot. Really, really obsessive. So she really fully deserved the distinction. She cried when she got a distinction because she didn't expect that. But the panel fully agreed, the externals and the internal fully agreed that she deserved a distinction because it was so meticulous, the work. Are you efficient and systematic enough? Other than being a student, what are you doing now? Are you driving Uber, Grab or something? Right? People always say, no, I'm too busy doing this. Okay, what are you busy doing? Okay, this is what I am doing now. If people say they are busy doing, can you do this? I supervise 6, actually 7, I think. This is wrong. I still teach a bit. I'm an editor for 2 medical journals. I reviewed 36 journal papers last year alone. I'm Academy of Science Council member and Malaysian Qualifications Agency Council member. I sit on numerous national level committees. I've lost count. I operate 5 different email accounts. I make it a point to be an external examiner every year, at least 1 thesis every year, external. They ask me to do more than that, but I can't commit. And I still publish about 6 to 12 papers per year. So if people say they're doing a lot of things, I said, okay, can you do all this? I'm not asking you to do all this. If this leaves people breathless, when they're not efficient enough. That's why my staff now in my office, I've got 2 officers in my office. Now, our HR last year did time motion studies, units and all that. And their idea is that, okay, 100% meaning, okay, at 80%, you just meet the bare minimum to be operating a staff. Less than 80%, you're really underworked. Okay. My 2 officers were rated when they looked at their work at 250%. I said, good, anything less than 200% is underwork. So they have the right amount of work at 250%. Otherwise, they're underworked. So if they cannot do that, they cannot be my officers. I probably throw them out anyway. Right? So both my officers, one taking care of academic, another taking care of international, are rated by BSM at operating at 250%. Meaning, by right, I should have 5 officers instead of having 2. But I have only 2, which is enough for me. Okay. Do you pay attention to detail? Do you do this? My students do this all the time. Superficial literature review, no critique. They report literature. There's no thinking. There's no scholarship. They do analysis without thought. Their methods are so skimpy, it's enough to go into a paper, that's all. Discussion is a repetition of results. So it looks like they took the results chapter, copied, pasted into, and call it discussion. Where is the discussion? This is a big problem. And this is supposed to be a PhD. So this is a problem with many doctoral students. If you are facing this kind of problem, it's time for you to stop and fix those problems. Do you have insight? Do you recognize your own weaknesses? Do you know your strengths? Do you know how to utilize your own strengths and minimize your weaknesses? We cannot get rid of our weaknesses. We are, after all, human. But we can minimize them. The management of staff is a management of strengths, utilizing strengths, while minimizing the weaknesses. So you do not use staff for which they have no strengths. The same thing for yourself. You maximize really your own strength, minimize those areas where you're weak at. I believe there are only 2 elements for a successful PhD. Planning and sticking to the plan. And the second one is time management. Because everything is about time. This whole seminar is about time. Right? That's why it's called Graduate on Time. Okay. Plan, plan, plan. Planning is the key. People say, and I don't know who said this, but if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. Set out your master plan, focus on the objective, plan and stick to the plan, and keep an eye on the ball. Now, a lot of people will say, you plan, but how come it doesn't materialize? It doesn't turn out according to the plan. Then your plan is not realistic. You are just dreaming. You're not really planning. Manage your time very, very carefully, because it's all about time. Time. I had another Malaysian in my own lab, the bioinformatics lab, when I was there. And she had a 4-year PhD right away given by her university. I was thinking, wow, how nice. She already has right away given 4 years. I was given 3 years, and my supervisor had to write and ask for that additional 1 year. She had 4 years. She never completed her PhD. She spent 1 year doing all sorts of jobs. Don't know for what reason also. Because she was single. I couldn't see the reason for her working. And she was staying in a studio apartment, which was very cheap. Less than £200 per month. Not going by weekly rate. So couldn't see the reason why she needed to work. She drifted after 1 year, didn't do anything. So as usual, as happening here, said that the supervisor is at fault and asked to change supervisors. So she switched supervisors. End of the second year, the supervisor is also at fault, change again supervisors. I was wondering, how many times is the supervisor at fault? At the end, never finished after 4 years. So, consistent work pattern is the key. Start early, okay? Never leave anything to the last minute. Anticipate problems and leave time to solve them. You have to think of these problems in advance and leave plenty of time to cover all areas. I always say, be on time, which is why I started this on time. Datuk VC is still there. I said, no, I got to start. Sorry, I got to leave you now. I got to start 10:15. Be on time. If you cannot be on time, be early. Right? Cannot be on time, be early. Then you can sit back. How to write and defend a doctoral thesis. Now, the doctoral examination in UM is actually very simple. You have 3 seminars which are required. Betul lah, Prof. 1, Prof. 1? We have proposal defense. I'm proposing now to move the proposal defense first semester. Candidature defense, I'm proposing to move that from 5th semester to 3rd semester. Pre-exam seminar, just before your submission, right? This is examined by 2 external examiners. In UM, it has to be luar negara, international. Because that's our policy. Despite what some of the deans say, said no, must be international, right? In rare cases, we will allow domestic external examiners, and there's a reason for it, of course. Examined by 1 internal examiner. The oral exam is checked by a dean or a professor from the faculty. 1 examiner needs to be present. The external can be present via video conferencing or teleconferencing, because it's unrealistic to expect them to come. The thesis requirements UM is very, very easy, but all we ask for you is prepare for thesis from day 1. So that's what I did. Register, prepare for my thesis already. So the same philosophy is carried to my job. Report first day as DVC, I'll tell the Vice Chancellor, I've got my plan for my exit strategy. So this is what I'm going to do within the 3 years, and when I'm expected to accomplish this. And I'll report to you every quarter. So the last day of every quarter, without fail, I will report. Betul tak? without fail, I will report. I haven't failed yet since, when was that? Many years ago. Yeah. Read the guidelines. Ignorance is not an excuse. In law, ignorance is not a defense, So it's the same thing. You register as a student, ignorance is not an excuse. Prepare the template, how your thesis is supposed to look like, right from the very beginning. It can change, but you prepare it right from the very beginning. Have an idea on what to write. So normally I put it in graphical. Okay, chapter 1 is supposed to be this, chapter 2 is supposed to be this, chapter 3 I will delve into this, and so on. Plan your chapters, outline them, take a look at other good theses, the ones which have got distinction in your field, for example. It would be a good place to start. And you'll be astonished at how meticulous some of these are. Really meticulous. That's why I said that student of mine who got a distinction, she's now a lecturer at UNIMAS. So she's rather obsessive, of course, in the way that she does her work. But it's so meticulous. And because before she gives it to me, she'll have the grammar check also. So it's a pleasure reading, rather than the supervisor having to correct every line. Right. So I wasn't really surprised that she got a distinction. So check and check and check. These are his usual thesis layout. This is our usual one, kan? There can be some variations. This is our usual one. Intro by right usually is written last, because then you get everything together, then you write your intro. You got it. The literature review should be ongoing right from the very start. Your methods should have come up from your proposal, except that in the past tense now. So you should have followed closely. So the methods chapter could have been written very early on, because you already know what you're supposed to do. The results, discussion, results, of course, you've got to wait for your experiments or your work to be completed. Discussion, conclusions, and recommendations. However, modifications are allowed. I'm sure there are some people who say, okay, this chapter might become too thick, especially the results, and there may be 2 phases or 3 phases. We do allow modifications. So, if they can be broken down to several distinct parts, then perhaps in each part can be a chapter 2. Some people also do that. Otherwise, follow the UM guidelines. Now, as an examiner, I can tell you what examiners like and what examiners don't like. And you really must pay attention to this, what they like, because ultimately, it's the examiners that you want to impress, right? It's not your supervisor. It's the examiners that you want to impress. And you've got to remember that. Okay. So, these are what examiners look for. This is what I look for. Amount of work, is the work sufficient for doctoral degree? So you have to give that impression that it is sufficient. How much is sufficient, you have to discuss with your supervisor. The examiner must get the impression that it is sufficient work. Betul lah? It is not just a final year bachelor's degree, project. Must get that impression. So how do they get that impression? There must be this doctoral scholarship, sophistication of thought. There must be sophistication of analysis. There must be critical thinking. So when you do your literature review, it is not reporting the literature. Any fool can just copy and paste from a PDF file and say this is the literature review. Any fool can do it. And you don't want to do that. So you are not a fool. You are a potential doctoral graduate. So you must have critical thinking, including self-critique. There is another lecturer in UNIMAS, again byproduct from my department, who I taught last time. He's become an associate professor now in UNIMAS. He became AP within 5 years, I think, which is about right. But I thought could have done it faster. I think he didn't seek my advice how to do it faster. And he's very critical thinking. When he wrote it's just a small research small project paper when he was doing his master's with us before he did his doctorate. I thought, this guy has the potential to be a very good lecturer. He was critiquing even his own work. Even though I'm doing this, but my feeling is that this does not go far enough, and so on, so on, so on. This guy has what it takes to become a very good academic. Okay. And I think he's doing well now. What is your contribution to existing knowledge? It may not be a new theory, but maybe something which people have not thought about before, new findings. Because people will be looking for this. Perhaps this is the first in this particular region that has been done this way, or a different approach to what is regarded as a common problem. Of course, if you are somebody like Stephen Hawking, then you come up with an entirely new theory, they will upset a lot of people. That can go both ways, of course. If your examiner is the other school, then they'll get very upset with you. But your examiner is open-minded, you realize that, okay, this is something special, you know. That's different, of course. The amount of work, now, the examiner will usually say, has the candidate done sufficient work for a PhD? This is very normal when we examine. Say, is this really sufficient work? We don't use a weighing scale and say, okay, this is about 3 kg, sufficient work. No, because we know that people pet with a lot of appendices also, right? So we don't do that, but we have to be convinced there is sufficient work. Okay, what is sufficient is subjective, but your supervisor who has gone through the same experience should be able to advise you. Okay, so consider your master's research project. If you have done a master's before, it must be better than that. Whatever you've done in your master's, the PhD must be bigger than that. After you're going to spend 3 years, right? So it must be better than that. This is what we look for when we read. Is the candidate capable of thinking beyond the usual undergraduate or master's level? We believe that. We have to look for this sophistication of thought. Has the candidate thought through what he or she is doing? Does the analysis reflect careful thought? Is it sophisticated enough? You're not just doing work, for the sake of doing work. Is the candidate capable of critical thinking? Because after a PhD, what other degree is there? If at the PhD level you're not capable of critical thinking, then I think we cannot award you the PhD. And I've had in the past, having had the being in the unfortunate position of recommending, I'm very sorry, but this work is not sufficient for a PhD, for another university. Have to come to that conclusion because it is not sufficient, of a sufficient level. This one, you'll have to check what do you mean by contribution to existing knowledge. Is this new? Is this a new theory? Or has it ever been done in this region or this country, and so on. Now, what examiners do not like? Pay very careful attention, okay? Beating around the bush. Read, don't know what's the message. So there seems to be volume, but no message. Of course, sometimes good lecturers, so-called good lecturers, I may be guilty of the same thing, like to tell stories. At the end, we are not sure what the message is, but it's a good story. Good story. I had lecturers like that who told very good stories, and we were captivated for 3 hours listening to the stories. At the end, we turned to my my classmate and said, "What exactly was he teaching just now, apart from the story?" So we don't want that, because your thesis is not really that thick, right? It's not more than 100,000 words. That's the maximum, 100,000. It's supposed to be less than that. Okay. This one, very common among our students, very hard to understand. You must, for Malaysians, please remember this, for Malaysians. For international as well, I got another message for you. For Malaysians, please remember, in your external is likely to be a Mat Saleh. Okay? Likely to be a Mat Saleh. They cannot understand Malaysian English. And they may not understand your message. What you think is very clear to us in Malaysian English is not really proper Queen's English or American English or whatever English. Okay. So the Malaysians, please don't assume our Malaysian English can be understood by Mat Saleh. For international students, okay, you have your own peculiarities. You come from various countries, how you write. If your Malaysian supervisor cannot understand you, it is unlikely that the Mas Saleh supervisor, the examiner, will understand you either. Okay. That's a good indication. When I write there in comment, when my students say, I don't know what you're talking about. There's something seriously wrong with that sentence. They don't get it. See? They say, the thing is clear enough. I say, I don't know what you're talking about. If I don't know what you're talking about, can you imagine the external examiner trying to decipher what you're talking about? So, write it properly. Run it by somebody who's really good in English, or when you finish everything, pay some money and get somebody to proofread it. This is also very common, rhetoric. You are not supposed to be politicians. Okay? Maybe some of you are politicians. Yeah. But when you write your thesis, it is not a political speech. Right? So don't just have a lot of rhetoric. Politicians can talk about nothing at all, And they can spend hours at the rostrum talking about nothing in particular. This is another thing. We cannot assume that your examiner is in exactly the same field. So, for example, they may not exactly be working in, say, synthesis of this type of polymers, for example. So they may not understand, or you cannot assume that they will understand what you should have done. Cannot. If I've been asked to examine, let's say I examine a dental thesis. I'm not a dentist. For goodness sake, you have to explain to me, what do you mean by this? You cannot assume that the examiner, it may be in community dental health, but I'm not a dentist. So you cannot assume, yes, public health is my field, but you cannot assume that I will understand dentistry. So you have to ask your supervisor, right, how do you write it such that it is clear? If it is too voluminous, parts of it may be left to the appendix. But it must be clear enough in the methods, what you're doing. Another thing is poorly presented results. The examiner did not do the work with you. He didn't go to the field with you. He didn't collect the samples. He didn't run the experiments with you. He didn't interview those people. So you have to present the results as though that person doesn't know anything. It must be clear. Tables must be self-explanatory. You cannot have a table, expect them to understand right away what the table is supposed to be about. It must be self-explanatory with the correct footnotes, the title must be clear, and so on. This one irritates people. And the last thing you want to do is irritate your examiner. When you have a haphazard layout, once the examiner gets irritated, then you can forget about the distinction. He gets further irritated, you are in danger of not passing. Okay? Because you really don't want to irritate the examiner. You cannot insist that, no, I did it correctly, he doesn't understand. No. You have to make the examiner understand. So you don't want to irritate people. Right? If you want to irritate people, wait after your PhD. After you've convocated, then you can go and irritate people at other conferences, but not for your exam. Okay. These are just suggestions, tips to writing. I always believe for your thesis, you have to start very early. Continue writing as you progress along. Do not leave it to the last minute. Do not leave it to the last 3 months. Then you start your thesis writing. Start it from very early. Polish as you go along. Keep adding, updating references. And work smart. So later, it's editing only. Adding here, adding there. But the main bulk has already been done before you say, okay, I'm now writing up. When you say you're writing up, it should mean that your work is what? 70% completed already. Your results have already been tabled, you already put them. It's just a matter of updating, reformatting, making sure everything's good. So then 1 chapter per week is possible. And within 2 months, you can finish your 8 chapters or your 6 chapters. When I was doing my PhD, I set up a template, Word template, which I shared with all my fellow Malaysian students in the same university. The template is really very simple. It uses the table of contents macros in Word. So once you put that in, everything is linked together, and the outline, the table of contents, it's automatic and it's perfectly outlined. You don't have to worry about pushing here, pushing there, left justified, right justified, whatever, nothing. It comes out automatically. So the moment you assign this is subtitle level 3, it will appear there, subtitle level 3, for example. This is a no-brainer. But because people did not know how to do it, so I shared my template with other fellow Malaysians. And I hear that the template is now being used in several universities. So if you want to get to know that template, you contact my department and ask them. This will aid your content management. So no big deal actually, right? Not copyrighted, freely available to all my doctoral students and available from my department. What makes a good thesis? A good thesis is clear written with few grammatical errors because you don't want to irritate people. There's good logical flow, significant contribution to knowledge. I mean, time. Huh? Oh, sorry. Okay. Critically appraises the literature, has clear methods, clearly presented results, thoughtful discussion, logical conclusions, and good implementable recommendations. A poor thesis is just the opposite, poorly written, poor flow, only reports the literature, does not have detailed enough methods, poorly presented results, does not discuss well, and so on. Does not conclude well and has no good recommendation. The Viva is very simple. This is just a very short presentation, I believe. Prepare them. Be aware of this slide background. I used to teach our students in my department how to prepare for the Viva. And astonishingly, because of that preparation, the external said, wow, your students present very well. Because they've been rehearsing like until crazy, they memorize everything. So they present and they got distinction because of the presentation. The thesis was okay lah, bordering on distinction. But because of the presentation and the way that they were able to answer questions effectively, they got a distinction. So prepare the slides, understand what you mean by slide background, for example. Here you notice that I typically use a white background because I'm uncertain of lighting conditions, and white background cannot go wrong with any lighting conditions. Okay. Your fonts, only important information, summarize. Don't go and put a lengthy 100-word slide. Maximum is just 40 words, and so on, so on. Record, rehearse, get somebody to critique for you. Power dressing, dress neatly, no jeans, no matter how fashionable you look smart enough. Because this, come on, if you want to dress like a beggar later on, that's your problem. But do not doing the PhD Viva, okay? Suits and ties for men, smart dress for women. Read your thesis again and again, especially it has been months since you submitted. You probably have forgotten already, right? Anticipate questions, prepare those answers, You mark your areas of concern in your own. I know some students, they do that. So they've got lots of this, I don't know what this multicolored text, no? Get a friend to critique your thesis. Know your thesis inside and out. You must know your thesis. Usually the examiner will know your thesis inside out because he has just read it. But it's been 3 months since you submitted your thesis. You probably have forgotten. So you better know it and discuss with your supervisor beforehand. And it'll be a good idea to find out what your examiner's research interests are and what his papers are. Because your results may be in contradiction to his results. So you have to be able to defend your results vis-a-vis his results, his papers. Okay. References, get ready them, those references, especially important ones, especially those with controversial statements. Go over and look for new references and prepare for this. Okay. And please, do not blame your supervisor for errors. Okay. Who's getting the PhD? It's you, right? So if it's an error, it's your error. It's not your supervisor's error. So you have to say, no, no, no. A lot of students appeal, say, no, no, it was my supervisor's mistake. No. Supervisor is supposed to guide you, yes, correct. But if you made a mistake in the thesis, it's your error, not the supervisor's error. Because I started off with a dream, right? So some men are dreamers. If your dream is to get a PhD, for you, it's a big dream. For you, it may scare you. But if the dream is not big enough to scare you, then this is just not big enough. Okay? So if you dream, you want to get a distinction, and it scares the hell out of you to get distinction, then it is big enough for you. I always believe our background and circumstances may have influenced who we are, but we are responsible for who we become. So we cannot blame our backgrounds. Not everybody is born to a rich family or privileged background. Okay. And lastly, I leave you with these words from the Quran. With him are the keys of the unseen, the treasures that none knows but he. Thank you very much.
Thank you Yang Berbahagia Datuk Profesor Dr. Awan Bulgiba for the inspiring keynote speech. Prof. Awan, please remain on stage. Yes. So as a token of our appreciation, I would like to invite Professor Dr. Wan Haliza Abdul Majid, Dean of Institute of Graduate Studies, University of Malaya, to the stage to present the souvenir to our Deputy Vice Chancellor, Yang Berbahagia Datuk Profesor Dr. Awan Bulgiba Awan Mahmud. Thank you, Professor Dr. Wan Haliza Abdul Majid, for the souvenir giving session just now. Honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, next let's welcome Yang Berbahagia Professor Dr. Zaidatun Tasir, Chairman of Deans of Graduate Studies Council, to give the keynote speech on best practices for graduate on time. Please welcome.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum. Yang berbahagia Datuk Awan Bulgiba, Deputy Vice Chancellor of Academics of UM. My colleagues, Professor Wan Haliza, Deans of IPS Universiti Malaya, and of course my fellow friends and all the supervisors and students in this hall. Thank you for UM for inviting me for these sessions, and whenever I actually attend any discussion or sharing sessions, the first question that we will ask towards me is that you look young. Are you students or supervisors? I'm not young. I'm not young. I actually approaching late 50, early 50. So I will share some of tips how to look younger. Okay. Okay. When I received an invitation from actually today is actually our sub-senate meeting, and today also our minister is actually coming to UTM for the industry KPT industry collaborations. But I already promised to to come. Then I have to inform my Vice Chancellor saying that it had been said earlier, so I have to come to So thank you for for these sessions. Dato' Professor Awang has covered lots of tips to be an efficient student and how to survive in graduating on time. So my talk is more towards on some of the current scenario in Malaysia, which is actually will cover the current scenario because you know that my position now is as a chairperson of Malaysian Deans of Graduate School Councils. So we have a councils in Malaysia, consists of 21 public university, and we have 4 private university with us in the councils. And we set a meeting to discuss a lot about our graduate education in Malaysia. And we would like to reach the global standards that we have towards graduate educations. And the latest projects that are coming, and I will present later on in DVD Vice Chancellor Committee, is actually we plan to have a master online degree in Malaysia. Okay, the idea has been by MQA, and we'll have to work very hard towards it because we believe that's the way forwards for graduate educations. So my talk will actually cover roles of students, roles of supervisors, and setting up the PG ecosystem. So some of my slide is confidential. It's actually a data based on our Ministry of Higher Education. I will share the data with the IPS, but maybe when I inform you this is confidential, you are not allowed to take picture. I'm really sorry because the data is actually belong to Ministry of Higher Education. So, as did mentioned by Dato', student, the clock is ticking. Okay, these are the 4 questions that you need to ask yourself. The first one is how many years of fellowship support do you have left? Think about it. Okay, how long can you delay starting a family or bringing home a real paycheck? That's correct. Okay, you have to think about this. Okay, how old do you want to be while still being a student? Okay, you have to think about after you graduate with your PhD, how many years that you have. Nowadays, we heard many of our colleagues has passed away at an early age. Okay, so how many good jobs will disappear before you have a PhD? Okay. There's an issue also, not an issue in Malaysia, but there's an issue also in other countries that you have a PhD, but might be you did not get equal payments according to your highest qualifications. So in Malaysia, I think if you have a PhD, you're good, you have a very comprehensive CV, then of course the university will hire you. But it depends also how you actually perform during the interview and so on. So your CV is very important. So student, the clock is ticking, and for the supervisor, it's remind me also as a supervisor, the clock is ticking also. Okay, where does the clock tick for them or for us enough to motivate our friend to be realistic about thesis expectations? So we have to look at the thesis expectations to be sure to get comment back on that chapter draft. Yeah, I still have few theses on my desk that required me to read this month. Okay, as an examiners, as a supervisors, that's our job. Okay, the clock is ticking. So if you take long times to read your student thesis, it will actually drag the students from graduating on time. As to both encourage and push our PhD student to the finish line. Okay, I do agree with what Dato' had been mentioned, that anything goes wrong in your PhD studies, it actually depends on the student totally because it's your work. But as a supervisor, we have to assist our students, to help our students. I did not know in but in UTM, as a Dean of School of Graduate Study, I actually face quite numbers of cases where the student drag the supervisor to court. It will drag all the universities, including me as the Dean of School of Graduate Studies. Okay, I received a summon letter saying that I'm the second name because as a Dean of School of Graduate Study, I did not do my job to make sure that the supervisor supervised the student according to what have been written in our rules of regulations. That's why as a supervisor, you have to remember, okay, when you receive a student, it's a responsibility. As a student also, you cannot blame totally 100% to your supervisors. You also have your own responsibilities. But there are many cases that I can see that when the students, when something get wrong at the end of the studies and the students try to find a way, okay? And this is not because you're a student. It happened in the real life. As a human being, something get wrong, we try to find other people's faults, okay? So this is where I believe accountability is very important nowadays in graduate education. So the clock is ticking. Okay? I always remind my friends that we have to make sure that we have to assist our students also to be graduating on time. Okay, this is a challenge in graduate educations, and you can see that the first two is on failure and non-completion, delay in completion, the completion gap. Of course, others is still other challenges might be not really related to our topics for today. So I will talk on these two, on the failure and non-completion and delay in completion. And this is the issues and challenges in Malaysia. Okay, you can see that in 2008 we have our MQA, Malaysian Qualification Agency, which is actually start to look at the postgraduate education in Malaysia. And in 2014, we have 14,000 plus PhD holder in Malaysia. And we have a target to produce 60,000 PhD holders in 2023. And we believe that we're not going to achieve the target by 2023. Because at this moment, 2016, we have about 17,000 PhD holder in Malaysia. This is showing a good signal to Malaysian or to non-Malaysian also. If you have a PhD, you might be need to stay here in Malaysia to help us to running the university and so on. I did not know what is the trend in but in UTM, I think 5 years after from 2018, we have about 50% of our academic staff will be retired. Then we have to start to recruit, okay, young PhD holders and train them, send them for training and so on. So this is where that I believe that if you have PhD right now, there is a possibility that you will be actually join us in the academia. And of course, the issue is that the quality of research, quality of trainings, research skills, supervision skills, and so on, the financial sustainability, low return of investment, okay. For Malaysians, you know that we have my PhD and my master scholarship. Last year, Ministry of Higher Education did not actually open for new applicants, isn't it? New application. And this year, government has allocated 60 million to the new applications for My Brain 15s. And the new applications for 2018 will be released, inshallah, this week. Okay, the new, you have to browse into Ministry of Higher Education website, the My Brain websites. Inshallah, they will be announced this week or next week, open for new applications. For senior student in semester 1 and 2, you are allowed to apply also. There is certain condition, you have to contact IPS later on, okay? And when we fight for this 60 million, okay, this 60 million fight by the Malaysian Graduate Dean Council, okay? We have to prepare a report, we have to conduct a studies on the performance of the previous recipient of My Brain 15. After 5 years, you know that My Brain 15 started at 2011, so after that 5 years, 2015 and 2016, so the government should receive, I think in terms of return of investment, it should be actually benefit the government. So I need to present in front of our minister on what should we do, what should be done towards my Brain 15. So from the studies, it shows that it really helps to improve Malaysians, okay, in terms of cost of living, and you have been moving from one level to another levels, and with that, the Ministry of Higher Education said that, okay, it looks like my brain really benefit Malaysians, so for this year, 2018, 60 million will be allocated to the new applicants. So that is the roles of Malaysian Graduate Dean Councils. Then we have a meeting and we discuss a lot. And with that 60 million, the KPI is really high. The GOT is 60%. Okay? And we try to convince them it's quite impossible for us to get the 60% for GOT. They say, you know, Prof, actually we want it 100%. Oh my. And then we nego a lot, then has been set at 60%. So for Malaysian, I think we are quite lucky to receive this kind of scholarship. Okay? If you ask your other friends from other country. So prudent graduate management, how fast and well higher education institutions respond to changes. Like for examples, the remote supervisions, the online degree, and so on. Okay? And this is the definition of GOT in Malaysia. You know that some of Malaysian universities fall into RUs, where we have MIRAs, and by GOT by Ministry of Higher Education is about 48 months for full-time and 72 months for part-time. And from articles, if you read from previous articles on factors contributing to the loss of research candidates, this has been mentioned a lot. So when I categorize it, you can see it. It caused one of the factors is actually the personality factors, life demand and crisis, which is actually belong to the students. We have another factor which actually belong to the research itself, and also the factors of supervisors, professional guidance, mentor, and expert. Okay, no doubt we have quite new supervisor in Malaysian university also, so we need to train them. Okay, we need to make sure that they are actually have equipped with all the skills to supervise the students. The ecosystem also is another issue. How well is the university provides facilities and infrastructure to the students? But you have to remember that facilities, we do not need to compare the facilities and infrastructures of, if we compare with a Malaysian university with a Singapore university, it's quite unfair sometimes if you look at the tuition fees. Tuition fees of Malaysian public university is so cheap. Yeah, believe it or not, is so cheap if compared to if you study in US. To produce one PhD holder, if you send a Malaysian to US or UK, nearly up to 1 million to produce one PhD holder. So you can compare it with the tuition fees in Malaysian university is about maybe 30,000, 37,000 to finish a PhD in 6 semesters. Then still, some universities, I believe in they prepare a very, I think, reasonable equipment, facilities, and support for you to finish your PhDs. So sometimes when you compare the facilities, look into the tuition fees a little bit, okay? Because tuition fees in Malaysian university is still cheap. Don't compare with the private university. Okay, we make studies comparing the public institution fees of PhD studies with the public university in Malaysia. I think charge is about 30% from the tuition fees that charged by the private university. And yet, we have to prepare or to provide you high-class facilities and infrastructures for your studies. So we are quite lucky in Malaysia. Okay, and of course, some is related to the lack of confidence, fears of failures, confidence in its own learning abilities. It's about yourself that you need to focus on it. Okay, this is the real data in Malaysia. From 2009, okay, climbing to 2015. So we have total numbers of academic in 2015 is about 19,100. 2011. I don't have the latest data for 2016, in the process of collecting it. Okay, so and you can see that the non-citizen is about 2008 and the citizen is about 16,261. This is and you know that 2023 our target is 60,000. That's why I did inform to the Ministry of Higher Education it's impossible for us to reach out 60,000 by 2023. Okay, now we just only have 19,000 2015. Okay, this is the trend. And the PG intakes in public higher education institution in Malaysia, so you can see that there has been increase in terms of the PG intake. Okay, for total is 28,000, masters is about 22, PhD is about 6,000 PhD holder. And in 2011, this is where MyBrain, MyBrain 15 scholarship embarked in 2011. And you can see that 6,000 is actually the numbers that have been targeted by the MyBrain 15 project. Every year from 2011, 5,000, we achieved the target. And same goes to the masters. Okay, but a sad story is that how many of them graduating on time? That's the issue, and that's the questions by the EPU on the return of investment. And it's going to be answered by us, the supervisors and the councils, not the student. I hope the Ministry of Education asking you, all the MyBrain recipient, why you are not graduating on time. You have spent a lot of taxpayer money, including my money, Datuk money, and all here who working here. It's true. Okay, we are okay to pay the tax to Malaysian, but make sure that you will going to finish on time and help others to success in their life. That is the circle of life. Okay. And this is the PG enrollment. This is a PG intake. This is a PG enrollment. In 2015, we have 35,000 of PhD candidates in Malaysian University. So that's high. So based on this enrollment, yeah, we are close to that 60,000. The problem here is that how many of them graduated. Okay, this is the trend. Okay, you can see that if you are a PhD student and you are Malaysian, you are one of here in this statistic, 35,000 of PhD. Total is actually 119,000 of PG student, 84,000 is actually master students. Okay, and this is actually the PG graduates. Can you see it? Comparing, if you compare it with the enrollment, 35,000. The one who graduates in 2015 is about 3,709 PhD. Okay, is about 10%. Okay, and the government has pumped in money, million, into it, and that is the question has been raised out by the minister, and they asked me, so do we want to allocate more budget for scholarship? So please help us. Okay, please help us in the graduate education, graduates dean councils to convince the ministry that yeah, when we offer this scholarship course, many students will be actually graduating on time. So this is the numbers, the masters graduates, and total is just 22,000. So we don't have any problem, I think, in terms of masters. Master's degree is quite high, I think, in terms of students graduating on time. But we have a problem on PhD. And this is from, if you compare it, this is the graph that I presented in front of the minister. I said, okay, the one with the red color is the enrollment, and you can see the graduates is so not high, it's just so small, 3,709. So they're asking more. This is about just 10% from the enrollment. Okay, and of course you have to know that if you compare it, because you know that this is 2015, so they actually might be enrolled in 2011, which is actually 28,000. So they should actually, if you compare 28,000 and 3,000, it's still about 10%. So this is make us worry a lot. okay, at the universities and in councils, and we talk a lot and we discuss a lot how to assist all of you, okay, to be graduating on time. And if you compare among RUs are the most of the PhD students actually enroll in RU. This is where we compare among RU. Okay, you can see that the intakes in RU is actually the highest one compared to other universities for PhD, and the enrollment of RU and also the graduates. Okay, but we need to achieve more. I think this year, last year, also climbing the ladder of 600 something. That's a good sign, and we are really happy. Our friend actually will reach, might be inshallah 2018 with 700 something. We are among the RUs, we are very proud of We believe that will actually soaring higher and reach up to the top hundreds this year, 2018, because that is their responsibility, and we are giving the support to it. Okay, okay, and you are quite lucky. You are actually in Universiti Malaya. Okay, and this is confidential, no pictures. If we compare to the MyBrain data, this is a MyBrain data. Okay, this is really sad. You can see that my PhD 2011 and 2015, 8,030 recipient, and sponsored in 2011 is about 1,128, and graduated is just about 564, is about 50%. And if you look at the PhD industry, so 16.7%. My master's not bad. Why do we actually looking at the 2011 intake? Because we believe in 2015 they should actually graduated. Okay, so this is where when I present it, 50% okay from here is not graduated on time, and some of them actually has been terminated from their study. Okay, and the money has been spent a lot to them, and this is the one that we need to answer as a Malaysian. And if you look at by 31st December 2016, okay, from that 564, how many is actually graduate on time? It's about 61.7% graduating on time. 50% graduated, 61.7% graduating on time. Another sad story. So we are the one who have to face the minister, not the recipient. Okay, so this is where, as a supervisors and as students, that we have our own responsibility. We have to make sure that the national agenda will be come true. This is the public universities, not bad, but we have a problem among private universities. For 2018, there's no sponsorship for private university for MyBrain 15. Okay, so you can inform your friend if they want to get MyBrain 15 scholarship, come to come to others public universities. Okay, we are not sponsoring the private universities anymore for MyBrain 15s, my PhDs and my masters. Okay, so this is the data that we actually have to report to the ministry. And in terms of the percent of student attrition rate, okay, might be some of them is your friend. Okay, you can see it, my PhD about 451 numbers of attrition, we will fail, withdrawing, terminated from studies. Okay, from the numbers of sponsors 7,168 is about 6.3%. But you know that every single person here is actually somebody that we plan to produce somebody in Malaysian, but 451 has been fall into the numbers of attrition, 26 for my PhD's industry, and 2,489, and they have to pay back the scholarship. Okay, they have to pay back the scholarship to the governments. Okay, so this is where if we look at the statistics that make us worry a lot on the numbers or the percentage for student graduating on time. And if you compare with in the performance of completion on times in US is measuring it from median time to degree. So you can see that this is data in 2012. If you are doing PhD in educations, you will take longer times compared to those in physical science. This is in US. In Malaysia, it depends. It depends. In some areas of social science, okay, they will be graduating not longer like this one, but in certain areas like mathematics, because you know that mathematics, you do not need any equipments to do research in mathematics. Okay, the percentage of students graduating on time in the area of mathematics is higher than other areas. So this is in US, okay, but they are still measuring it. And this is in UTM, just for sharing. In 2013, we have around 30% graduating on times. You did not need to worry. We also have been decreased a lot. For 2017, it's about 10%. And till 2015, we have about 25 to 35% graduating on time. But the one that I would like you to see is that they were PhD students who graduated in 26 months, in 31 months, and 28 months. Okay, so meaning that it's possible to finish your study on time. Okay, but our percentage is about 25 to 35%. Finish the PhD within 42 months. Okay, we still actually struggle toward it. And this is happening around the globe. Okay, the data that have been, when we browse into it, you can see that in Japan it's about 5 years, although some of the universities in Japan, yeah, they claim you can finish your study in Japan about 3 years. But in one article that we read is about 5 years. Australia is good. Australia is good. They claim it 4 years. Yeah, usually it's about 4 to 5 years. Europe 5 years, UK 7 years, US 7.5 years, and Malaysia is not bad. It's about 4.3 years. Okay, based on the average. And if you compare with the situation, graduate education in UK, in Malaysia, and in Australia, you can see that in Malaysia, the doctoral graduates in Malaysia is about 16,983 from 2009 to 2015. And if you compare with in Australia, 2000 to 2010 is about 3,000 something to 6,000 something. And the enrollment is about 27,000. Okay, the doctoral enrollment in Malaysia is about 35,000. Okay, so we are actually on par with others. In UK, it's about 72.9% talks about 7 years from 2010 to 2011 data. The doctorals graduates in UK. So not bad in Malaysia. With the highest ranking, like UM, 114 in QS ranking, I think with the tuition fees that, I think it's really cheap tuition fees, graduating on time with 16%, I will think about coming to Malaysia to pursue my graduate education because of the ranking of UM and other university in Malaysia. Comparing with some university in US, if you put UM together with other US university, I think might be UM is higher than San Francisco State University. Yeah, San Diego State University in terms of ranking. So you can see that that is the way forwards of graduate education in Malaysia. And for Malaysian, we are really lucky that we are Malaysian. Nowadays, in Australia, they said to me that they did not want to compete with Malaysian university. They want to collaborate because they know that Malaysian university actually is climbing the ladder and might be higher than the ranking of the Australian university. So why Malaysia needs to go outside to pursue your masters and PhD? You can just stay in Malaysia. Okay? So that is what has been prepared in Malaysia. And this is a growth of publication. I think Datuk is quite familiar with this data. This is the growth of the publication in Malaysia. Okay, you can see the growth of publication from 1996 to 2015. And we believe this is actually might be due to because of the increase of postgraduate enrollment in Malaysian university. Okay, and of course, it's a compulsory for you to publish before you can sit for your viva, and take it as a challenge because if you publish, you will actually
fill in your CV. If you have a PhD without publication, I believe UTM also not going to hire you. Nobody want to hire you if you just have a PhD, no publication. We want people who actually have a PhD and able to publish and share the ideas in terms of publication and so on. Okay, because we have so many nowadays PhD graduates. When we interview them, we're going to try to be selective. Are you really a good PhD holder? Can you talk in front of people? Can you have a critical thinking and so on? Because in academia, we need that people. We need that kind of people. And why GOT? Okay, some of you might be asking about why need GOT? This question has been thrown to me many times, not from the student, from the supervisor also. In an Islamic studies, they said we did not need a GOT. Okay, because the longer time the student in the system, that's better. That's in Islamic studies. Okay, I agree on it because you know that in Islamic study you learn about Islamic, you learn about religions. Of course, you need to stay longer. But why do you need GOT? Is a national agenda. It's actually a national agenda. I will share with you later on. It's an indicator of productivity of an institution that has been mentioned by your Vice Chancellor. Okay, we're measuring the productivity of the institution based on GOT. Okay, I believe it's self-satisfaction. Okay, greater recognition and credibility. Research to make sure the scope of research is still relevant. It's true. If you talk about might be 10 years to graduate, your research might be not relevant enough at the time that you graduated. Okay, you need to actually explore a new topic. Okay, that's why GOT is very important. Just imagine you enroll, you might be registered in in 2010. At that time, you prepare your proposal. All of your literature review is about 5 years or 3 years, about 2000, might be 2007 and 2008. And when you reach up to the Viva in 2018, so the literature is obsolete. That's why you need to make sure that you will submit your thesis as soon as possible. Career advancement, greater employment and opportunity, as I did mention that might be during when you actually graduate on, let's say 2018. At that time, Malaysian University need to hire, student graduates with PhDs to join the institution and so on. Okay, this is a national agenda. Might be the questions, I'm not throwing the questions to the student, but to the supervisors. I believe all the academicians in this hall, we knows about silver book. Anyone here did not never see silver books? It's a Unity P books. It's a play books by the Ministry of Higher Education. It's a book to enhance academic productivity and cost efficiency of an institution. Okay, that's what is fall under national agenda. Okay, and you know that Malaysia has been ranked under the Universitas 21 ranking in 2017. This is our rank. In terms of resources, we are number 11. We are good. We pump in money a lot in higher ed. Okay. Environment also not bad, number 13 from 50. Connectivity not so good. Okay, we pump in money a lot in higher ed, but the connectivity is about 34 in terms of networking and joint publication, joint research among academicians. Look at output. We pump in money a lot in higher ed, but output is number 39. That's not good ranking for Malaysia. Compared to Australia, this is Australia. They pump in money less than us. In terms of resources, less than us, ranking number 15. Environment number 3. Connectivity number 12, better than us. And output, much better than us. So this is make the government really worried on the higher education in Malaysia. We put so much budget in it, have been ranked as number 11, but the output is number 39. Something goes wrong. Compared to Australia, less budget than us, number is 15, but the output has been ranked as number 3. Okay, don't compare US. US has been ranked number 1 for resources, number 1 for output. Yeah, that's good. Number 1 for resources, number 1 for output. So this is make us worried, and that's why the UNITP is measuring what we call it improving academic productivity by increasing the IGOT. IGOT is the intake GOT. If you enroll in 2010, after 42 months from 2010, you must be graduated. That is intake GOT. Okay. So, and optimizing costs per full-time student equivalent has been mentioned by your Vice Chancellor. Costs are rising faster than available fund. Remember, next year, I'm not sure whether we're going to have a My Brain again or not. Okay, this year we have the 60 million plus the commitment, meaning that the recipient that already in the system about 300 millions, meaning that the scholarship, only for the scholarship, the government has allocated up to 400 millions for the scholarship. What the government asks for us is that graduating on time. That's all. And who's going to get the benefit? All of you who are going to get the benefit. Okay? And paybacks to the country. You need to pay back to the countries. Okay? And the UNITP Silver Books focus will be on cost per graduates in order to address the unique challenge of keeping costs under control while meeting the demands for higher education. So remember, your time in UM or in UTM is about 42 months. 43 months, you should go out and find a job. New student will come in. The same resources that we have to use to produce more PhD graduates. That's the national agenda. And some of you here, especially supervisor, never thought about, I need to think about national agenda. I just want to be myself. Yeah, of course. I also want to be myself. Also, I want to be Zaida. I want to be myself. I don't want to care about the government. But you are staying in a country and you are Malaysian. Please contribute. Okay? That's why for the international students, okay, some of you might be from Nigeria, from Iran, or Iraq, and so on. If you finish your studies and you have been sponsored by your government, so go back and pay back to your governments because they pay a lot to develop you. And life is not about ourselves only. Life is about us and other people around us. Okay, that's one thing, tips in life. And if you care about other people around you, insyaAllah, your journey doing a PhD will be smooth. Okay, sailing, and you will be graduating on time. Believe me or not. Okay, that's the tip. And this is the IGOT definition, where it's actually the needs to measure the IGOT tied to a cohort instead of a total annual graduation rates is critical. So even those students who take longer to graduate still receive a degree, that degree took more time than intended and therefore cost more for the university. It will cost more to UM if you're not graduating on time, because UM are using the same resources to the same student. We need to actually allocate the resources to other new students. Okay? And improving academic activity is the key to educating more students with the same resources. More students with the same resources. That is why GOT is very, very important, okay, for us in the councils, in the graduate dean councils. So in which some students, no doubt some students might be need more times to complete. We are okay with that. Okay, we are not actually targeting GOT 100%. This is about 30 to 40%. Okay, the rest of it, we believe you might have your own problem, you have your own issues to finish on time. And this is the IGOT definition and GOT. You can compare it. The GOT is based on MIRA. It's quite easy to achieve it. Numbers of PhD graduated within 7 semesters, 42 months, the percent of PhD students graduated within 7 semesters from numbers of PhD graduated. I believe the one that has been presented by your Vice Chancellor is GOT. Okay, but not IGOT. IGOT is based on BASH. Okay, I believe if we produce the statistic based on IGOT, it might be lower than 16%. Okay, but Ministry of Higher Education right now measuring the IGOT based on intake. And this is actually the IGOT. You can see that for PhD is about 4 years. Certain areas, architectures, medicine, dentistry and veterinary is about 5 years. Okay, this is measuring by the ministry. And this is the performance of Malaysian University, public university by degree level. This is the PhD. I did not know which is which is UTM. Okay, but this is our performance. Okay, there are universities who actually achieve up to 55% GOT. Okay, might be not belong to RU, but we have to compare and look into the numbers of PhD graduates produced by that university. Okay, this is some of the initiative by the institutions, because I believe some of from IPS or might be from the faculties who are actually in the admin position. Okay, initiative that we can do for GOT to assist student for GOT. We might be need to look at the student progress, okay, comprehensively and have an evaluation on it. Qualifying exam, I think UM have it, okay. The terminal degree for those who actually might be not finish their PhD, might be we can give them master's degree. Mentor, we have to prepare mentor, which is a student work with their primary mentor to develop a timeline toward completion. Annual plan, student meet mentor, gift talk and extension by request. Okay, gift talk, I think the 3-minute thesis is actually a good platform. Believe it or not, challenge yourself to join the 3-minute thesis. I can see the transformation of students when they actually participated in 3-minute thesis. You can survive easily during your Viva if you actually join 3-minute thesis competition. No harm to join it. Okay, you were quite lucky, then you're going to win. If not, nobody is going to critique you. Just challenge yourself. Okay, join it and participate in 3-minute thesis. This year also we have a 3-minute thesis competition at national level. And for students, okay, of course, writing is very, very, very important. You have to immerse yourself in writing. That's the tips for GOT. Okay. If you have a problem in writing, I believe it's quite hard for you to graduate it on time. And believe me or not, there's no shortcut for writing. Okay, there are so many courses outside there, isn't it? Saying that you can write your thesis in 3 months, 6 months. I do not believe on it. You have to prepare, write your thesis gradually. From the day one that you register, you have to start to write. At least 1 page a day. How many pages that you will get in a 1 year? 365 pages. Okay, it will exceed the maximum numbers of pages of thesis. Okay, find a strong mentor, and believe me, writing is a skill. Writing is a skill. You need to polish yourself in writing. It's a skill. Then that's why you have to prepare articles, papers, journals, articles to send to the journals. Find a strong mentor among peers. Okay, if besides supervisor, you have to find a mentor among your peers. Okay, try to find friends. Don't just stay in your hostel alone and do your PhD. PhD is where you have to go out. Okay, accept feedback as constructive criticism. Okay, you have to brave enough. Any critiques that you receive, you have to be open towards it and look into it. Yeah, might be I need to improve on this thing and so on. Okay, find the right supervisor. Sorry, supervisor. Yes, find the right supervisors. Okay, we face problem also in UTM. Okay, there are few professors. Okay, came to my room, asked me, Prof, I would like to report to you that the faculty actually did not give me new student. I need new student. Okay, this professor. So I just informed this professor, okay, Prof, just wait 5 minutes. Let me check your record. Okay, I have a system. I just key in the professor name and I say, Prof, based on my record, only 1 student graduated under your supervision. So how come you want a new student? Okay, because the student will actually inform others, isn't it? inform others the quality of the supervisors. So for the supervisors, please, okay, it's not we did not need to spoon feed our students, but we need to care about our students, okay, in our own ways, on it. So find the right supervisors that correct, direct any courses taken toward your research need. Anything that you attend in outside can make it directly to assist your research. Narrow your thesis scope. Remember, thesis is not just to solve a world problem. It's just to actually find an alternative to solve a certain problem. Don't make it a big research scope. Perseverance and finishing the thesis. Yeah, you need to be tough. You need to actually force yourself. Have a checklist, like have been mentioned by Dato'. Okay, checklist, everything. Every day you have your KPI. I'm done with this. Tomorrow I have a new KPI. I need to achieve the new KPI. I have a checklist. The checklist is not just for the student. The checklist also for the supervisors. And I think till now, as an academician, we also have a checklist, isn't it? We have a checklist on works that we have to do. Okay, you need a checklist. Even at home also you have a checklist, isn't it? You have to wash your clothes. You have to everything. You need a checklist. Everything. Find a strong quality research colleague. You need that. If you are not strong in research methods, in quantity or qualitative data analysis, then you need to find a strong colleagues. Promote your work and talk to others. Go for conference. Talk. When you go for conference, you're going to meet your potential examiners now. That is where you're going to meet your potential examiners and try to talk with the examiners. Okay, so that during your viva, that's not the first time that you met your examiners. Okay, so you need to go to conference, talk about your work, open for critics, and try to improve it. Okay, don't compare and follow. Don't compare with other students. Follow your own path. Okay, you might be under the same supervisors, might be have 5 students. Don't compare your progress with your friend progress. Follow your path. You have your own plan. Take care of your health, mental versus physical. That's very important. Take care of your health, mental and physical. I always ask my students, go for jog. Okay, you need to be fit so that you can ride. Okay, don't just stay at home. Okay, you have to make sure that you exercise, eat a good food, calculate the calories. My student always says that, yeah, my supervisor calculate the calorie. That's why I inform my student, if you want to bring something for me to eat, bring fruit. The things that with low calories. Okay? Because if you bring me cakes, cheesecake, I might be don't have any ideas to comment on your thesis. Okay? If you need to to wear special device to monitor your blood pressure, why not? Okay, this year I'm actually wearing a watch that monitor my blood pressure. It's true, I need that to be fit. If not, with the position of Dean of School of Graduate Studies and the chairperson of the Malaysian Dean Council, how come I can manage all the work? So I need to wear something to monitor my blood pressure. I'm a low blood pressure, so I need that. So that's why when a student came to my room, I say, okay, wait, I would like to check my blood pressure first. It's very important. It's very important that I need to think that because the student need me and I need the student. So I have to keep in good fit and healthy. Okay, this is very important, staying healthy. Believe me or not, please go for walk. After this session, 5 p.m., go for walk. 10,000 steps a day is equivalent to 7 kilometers. Okay? Enough sleep is very important. Okay? Don't sacrifice your sleep time. Okay? Exercise is very important. Don't ever think it's waste your time. If you exercise, you fit. Okay? Within 10 minutes, you can write 1 page. If you don't have fit, you did not exercise, in a week, even a single word cannot be right. Isn't it? So please, you need to be fit and eat well. Eat well. Don't eat everyday biryani. Yes, you need to eat well. Calculate your calories. This is very important. If you ask me, graduating on time, beside the other factors like research skills, your knowledge, your supervisors, and all the supports around you, this is very important. Staying healthy for graduating on time. Believe me or not. Okay? It's very, very important. You need to make sure that you fit enough, okay? Eat proper food, enough sleep, 6 hours per day, not more than 6 hours. Okay? Don't oversleep, don't actually not enough sleep. You have to make 6 hours per day. Okay? Exercise and eat well. That's the tips. And this is your plan. Okay, you plan you plan for the straight path like this. But reality, this is the reality of it. And be flexible on it. Okay, don't ever blame yourself or blame God towards it. Everybody has their own journey. Okay, we have to be look at into the path. Okay, and this is a checklist, as I did mention. You have a checklist on how have you analyzed your research data, have you write your journal, have you prepared your research proposal, run your pilot study, collect your data, analyze your research data, write journal articles, and defend your thesis. That's the checklist that you need to do. And time flies so fast. That's why you need to monitor your movement. Okay. And for the supervisors also, okay, we have to make sure that we have our checklist. Every student have their own checklist. And tips on publication. Okay, some of students asking about how to publish your research. Okay, the tips on publication is that if you can start with a concept paper yet. You don't have a data, but you can start with a concept paper, literature review. This is one paper. The second paper on literature review. The third paper on the theoretical analysis. The fourth paper on the systematic review. You have might be 4 research findings. Each research finding can produce one paper. Okay, and the whole thesis. Save the best for last. The last paper, the whole thesis, make sure you publish in Q1 journal. I put a KPI to my students that every PhD student must publish 1 QI journals, and that is your complete thesis. Because I believe that PhD thesis contribute new knowledge. Okay, so 6 paper if you follow this tip, and where to publish, how to publish. Okay, there's a tips for it. Okay. If you refer a lot to certain journals, articles from certain journals, you should publish in that journals. Look at your reference. If you keep referring to journal A, journal A, journal A, your last thesis, you must publish in that journal A. That's the tips by Xavier, not the tip by me. That's the tip by Xavier. So look at your reference. Okay, which journals that you refer a lot. So that is where you're going to publish. And what you're going to publish is that you can start with conference paper. Don't aim for Q1 paper in the first year of study. Some supervisor, first year of study, they aim for Q1 paper. Oh my, you cannot get Q1 paper for the first year of study. Aim for conference papers, and maybe you move to the book chapters, move to the journals articles, and at the end, of course, journal article. Every semester, 1 paper. For the My Brain recipient, okay, not the one who already received My Brain lah. The new recipient, every semester you have to publish 1 paper. That's the KPI by the Ministry of Higher Education. Okay, 1 paper can be a conference paper. Okay, just publish 1 conference paper every semester. Okay, and some of my students ask me, Prof, where can I get the money to pay the conference fees? Supervisor, if you have grants, support your students to go for conference. If you don't have grants, then you might be need to discuss with your student. Sometimes you might be actually help them to pay the conference fees. So the issue of graduating on time, there is an issue actually. on the perspective of supervisor. It's the issue on the mismatch between the supervisors and the student. Sometimes you have to know that if you cannot work with that supervisor, okay, in the first semester you have to think to change supervisor. Don't stick with that. Don't wait till the end of 6th semester, then you realize, oh, I cannot work with this supervisor. It's too late. Okay? And I believe as a supervisor also, we have to be open enough. Student come and goes. Okay? So if you think that you cannot work with that student, release the student to other supervisors. New student will coming and might be they can work with you. But you need to check also, do a reflection. If all students want to change supervisor, something wrong with you. Okay, it's true. Something wrong with you. Almost 10 students change to the new supervisor. I think something wrong with you. Okay, you have to ask yourself also. And nowadays, in RU, if you don't have a postgraduate student, I believe your annual yearly appraisal is out, I think. It's going to be below 50. Then Dato', you don't have a postgraduate student, how come you are going to expand your empire in research and publication? And for student also, okay, some other student might be you are actually academician in your university and pursue a study in Malaysia. You have to know that when you deal with your supervisor, you publish together with your supervisor, that is where the time that you try to learn how to publish papers. Okay, when the time comes, when you finish your PhD, you go back to your country, might be go back to your institution or what, that is the time where you're going to build your own empire. You will receive students. You will actually have, or you're going to publish paper with your student. So that's why nowadays, if you're a student, you publish together with your supervisor. Believe me or not, sometimes because of Dato' Awang name is in the paper accepted by the journal. It's true. Nowadays, if you apply for research grant, they will look at the members of the research grant. It's true. So, although the research is your research, but you need your supervisors. You need your supervisors, remember. Okay, this is a supervisory style. I just go fast. Okay, this is a style of the supervisor. You have to know. Okay, try to look into it. I leave the slide to the IPS. Look at your supervisors belong to which category of style. Okay. So the problem here is that you can see that low structure and high support. Student has personal low management skill, and supervisor provide considerable personal care and support, but not necessarily and task driven. So the problem with a student has a personal low management, and the supervisor give a lot. The problem that if you fall into this, you need guidance, and your supervisor did not give you guidance. Low structure, low support. If you fall into this, then you need to move. You need to find supervisors that might give you support. Okay? But remember, PhD study is about yourself. You are the ones who actually be the one who critical thinker and so on, not your supervisor. Okay? And you did not need people to motivate you, isn't it? You are around 30, 20, 40 age. Your age is 40 years old, 30 years old, 20 years old. Do you need people to motivate you anymore? I have one PhD student that say that, Prof, I need you to motivate me every day. I said, okay, go to the academic management division, take a form, then fill in the form. You might be need to defer your study. Because I don't have time to motivate you every day. Okay? You need to motivate yourself. This is the flow that you should move from one style to another style. Okay, if you are actually in this style, pastoral, high support, okay, you might need to move to contractuals and then move it to directionals and so on. Okay, and counseling and motivation is very important. Okay, if you have time, you try to motivate your student, but not every day. And of course, you need to help students to prepare the journeys for graduating on time. This is the journey for supervisors. Okay, set up supportive research environments, prepare researcher mindset, help identify interesting suitable research topic, coach your student, help in analysis and writing. That's the end of it. Coach for deep and critical comprehension, help plan for GOT. That is what the supervisor need to do. And if you do this, successful, timely completion of PhD, insyaAllah. And this is the 3 factors. The students, where is actually the capability of the student. If you receive students who might be not capable enough as a research student, send them for training. Short course, anything. Just send them for training, using your research grant money or what. Set up the facilities to your research grant. That's very important. That's why as a PhD supervisor, you must have grant. You must have grant for the supervisors. Okay. Sometimes, for example, I think this week is open for FRGS, TRGS, PRGS is open. So you need to apply for it. Okay. And of course, as a supervisor, you need to learn, unlearn and relearn. You also need to learn as a supervisor. Don't compare your thesis which actually produced in 2001, compare the thesis that need for 2018. Nowadays, thesis 2018, look into it. Sometimes you will feel afraid towards it because there are new methods, new way of analyzing the data. I did not refer my thesis that have been produced in 2002. I did not refer it yet. I asked my student, don't refer my thesis. It's obsolete. Okay? Nowadays, there are new methods that you need to learn. So as a supervisor, go for trainings. You also need that training. Okay, this is actually the supervisor need to know every student is different. It's not one size fit all proposition. You're going to use several ways to supervise your student. Okay. And this is the journey that I would like to share to the student. This is actually the realistic journey happened to my student. Okay. I have 4 types of journey for GOT. You can ask yourself you fall into which journey. Journey number 1, okay, before you join PhD studies, you already have your topic. Might be you want to continue your master degree topic, or might be you actually have this research before this. You already have the preliminary investigation. Then you join it, you need just to polish it to reconfirm the research scope. Then the second semester, you already have, you build a confidence on research scope presenting a conference paper. You already have a paper in the second semester. Then third semester, proposal is ready. Early semester, you already present your proposal. The fourth semester, you start to do, the data collection have been started in third semester. Then the data analysis, second stage of data collection, producing a journal paper based on the RQ1 result. Okay. Don't wait till you finish all the data collection and then you sit down for writing. No. Today you collect some data, sit down and write something. Tomorrow you collect more data, you write something. Okay, because you still remember the process of data collection. And if you do this, if this is your journey, okay, by semester 5, okay, you're done, data analysis, you're writing the whole thesis, you already submit your thesis and you have your viva in semester 6. It can be done if you, for the supervisor, less monitoring, it's true, yelling, reminding. You do not need to remind them if you have this path. And of course, yes, it happens if the research is given by supervisor based on the grant approved. Because when we apply for grant, we already have the proposal, isn't it? We just need to execute the research. Yeah. Okay, that's why sometimes the PhD student, they are so smart, they find a supervisor who already have grant if they did not have a topic. Okay, the second journey, okay, you can see that you're done with the research scope. 30% has been experienced before this. You just want to find the gaps and you produce a first paper in the first semester. Okay, and then you can see you're preparing the proposal. Your proposal is ready for presentation, but you start your data collection in semester 4. Then you move to complete collection of data collection done and try to produce a paper. Then you submit your thesis in semester 6 and you are waiting for viva. Okay, it can be done also. Okay, because this is just 36 months. Okay, you have another 6 months waiting for Viva. Less monitoring but keep motivating. You need to motivate them. It happened to my student. This is the second journey of my student, which is actually GOT. Yes, the PhD student continue the same research scope from his or her master degree research. Okay, they has a master degree research, they continue it. Okay, the third journey, done with the draft of PhD proposal for admission process. It might be not really the one that will be focused by the student. Just prepare a proposal for the purpose of to apply PhD program. You collecting resources and then you start to look into it. First semester, second semester, you still read an article. Third semester, you still try to build confidence on the research scope, preparing a proposal. And of course, you submitted it for presentation. You present it in a fourth semester, verifying the research instrument. And you're done with data collection by semester 5 and data analysis. And then you start to write your start writing of your thesis. And then of course, you wait for your Viva. In short more, you can do this. Keep monitoring, reminding, and motivating. And then student pursue his or her PhD without clear focus on the research. It requires student tremendous effort towards this. You don't have any idea to do a PhD. You know there's my brain scholarship. You want to apply for it. Just prepare 2 pages of proposal and you submit it. Then you just go towards it. Okay, yes, but really need tremendous effort by the students. You don't have a holiday for a PhD. 3 years of studies, might be you have about 30 days holidays only. Okay, Hari Raya, only the first Hari Raya that you celebrate. Eid Mubarak. The second Hari Raya is for you to look at for your PhD bag. Okay, the last journey, close to GOT. You can close to GOT. You done with a draft of PhD proposal for admission process. You still collecting resources. It takes time for you to provide to complete the proposal. You submit proposal in semester 4. You start your data collection in semester 5. Okay, but you can see that less publication. Less publication here. Semester 6, you done with data collection, data analysis. You need the 7th semester to revise the whole thesis, writing everything. You will submit it in the 8 semesters and you have Viva. Not 42 months, but 48 months. It's still within the time frame 4 years. Okay, so ask yourself which journey. You can have this, keep monitoring, reminding, supporting, motivating. Every day the supervisor need to WhatsApp. Okay, where are you now? Okay. And student pursue his or her PhD without clear focus, not quite critical in reading, have problem in writing. I have one student fall into this category. Critical thinking is out. It will take about 1 year to make this student to be a critical thinker. I need to send this student to several conference, let the student talk to experts, then it build the critical thinking. So this is where you need to do. Okay, and during your PhD, okay, you have to build friend, build networking among you. Don't just stay in your lab. And for supervisor also, allow your students to go for conference and to meet people. Okay, some supervisor, they say, no, you cannot join 3-minute thesis competition. You need to focus on your research. I think that's not right. Okay, that's not right. Okay, and this is the ecosystem. I think the university also have to build the ecosystem. This is the ecosystem in UTM that we try to prepare it, the mock-up Viva and so on. And this is what that we prepared. We put it in the system. For example, we ask our our sports center to have these activities for postgraduate students. The stadium, the kayaking, horse equine center. We believe that is a part of leisure activity to release your stress so that you can write more. So as a postgraduate school, I'm asking the recreation center to have this activity. Okay, and then I post to the student, you have to join these kayaking activities in our lake and so on. So please, change yourself. Okay, and this is actually another one. I believe the Universiti Malaya have what we call it professional development. In UTM, we have this professional development for students. And this is our courses that we prepare to the students. So from semester 1 to semester 6. And we have another one for supervisors. In UTM, if you don't have a certificate in graduate supervision certificate, you cannot be a main supervisor for PhD. It's a compulsory. Okay? Because there are so many cases that the students sue the supervisor because the supervisor did not have a skill. So in UTM, we have a graduate supervision certificate have been introduced in 2015. It's a compulsory to all, including me. So we have 4 levels of courses: Academic Supervision 101, 102, 103, and Academic Supervision 201, Experience Supervisor Training Refreshment. Our Vice Chancellor also have to take this number 4, Academic Supervision. This is just to refresh on the new issues in graduate education, like for example IGOT, isn't it? Remote supervision and so on. So at this moment in UTM, 95% of our supervisor is actually certified with the certificate. Okay, so this is compulsory, and this is the content of the system, supervisor registry system. So you can see that my status is eligible. Okay, I have been certified to supervise PhD students. And this is a list of my students. And this is a list of courses attended. Okay, and this is the number of students graduated under my supervision. So it's easy for us to monitor our supervisor. So if the professors walk into my room and ask about, I need new student, I say, wait, Prof, I'll check your progress. Okay, so it can be accessed by all the supervisors and the faculties. Okay, and this is a content of the graduate supervision certificate. We have, the first one is on the introduction of UTM graduate management, skill in supervision, GOT, and the last one is evaluation pack, more on mentoring, where the new supervisors will be coupled with the senior supervisors. We have mentor and mentee session about 6 months. So the mentee, the new supervisor is going to supervise the student in front of the mentor. So the mentor will see about it, and after the session done, and the mentor will inform to the mentee, saying, okay, you need to improve this, and so on. And to do this, we need to educate mentor, mentee, and student also. Because we don't want to mentor to disturb the process and might be say something in front of the students that might be the mentee will actually fail later on, not confidence towards supervision. So we have the session. So Alhamdulillah, the acceptance by our supervisor is quite good. It's okay, as long as you approve by Senate. Okay, and this is my acknowledgement to those who actually involved in preparing the slide. Okay, that's all. Thank you very much. I might be need to open 1 or 2 questions if you have questions on it. Okay, including my brain questions if you want to ask. Okay, so far so good. Good luck in your studies. Pray a lot to Allah for your studies. Yeah, I have one question over there.
Sir, please proceed to the nearest mic. Should you have any questions, and please introduce yourself, name and faculty, and make sure that the question is as short as possible.
Thank you for your good presentation. It's very good, and we learn a lot from that. But I have one question regarding the funding for international students.
Okay.
Because international student is also a community of UM, so they need some support from university as well. Regarding that, there is a crisis in Malaysia, but still they need to support in some type of funding for the, at least for the tuition fees. If they're not providing other facility like Stefan, so if they reduce the fees for international, as the fees is increasing day by day for international. Second thing, is there any incentive program for the publication, for the students especially? So at least if they have no funding, they can get something for the papers, so they can arrange that. Thank you.
Okay, it's not fair for me to answer on behalf of UM, but I'm going to answer on behalf of Ministry of Higher Education. For the international students, for 2018 at this moment, they did not allocate any budget for Malaysian International Scholarship, MIS, you know that, MIS. They did not actually allocate budget on it, but we still fight for it. Okay, we try to look into it because the 90 million is just for Malaysian. But as you know that the 90 million, they need to spend that 90 million in 2018. Okay, so we're going to look into it. If we have extra, there might be MIS will be open. Okay, from the Ministry of Higher Education. From maybe you can ask IPS later on. But I believe you are correct. Financial support for international students or might be for other students is very important. If I can share some of the best practice in UTM. In UTM, we offer tuition 50% discount for international student for tuition fees for PhD studies. Okay, we give it. We did not give it strictly 3 years of study. We give it based on semesterly basis. It's based on your performance. The second financial assistance that we have is that if you publish in Q1 paper, you can claim to the graduate school and we give you incentive. Q1 paper is about 600 ringgit for one paper. Q2 paper is about 400 ringgit. Q3 paper is 300 ringgit. And the money is going to go to student, to the account of the student, not to the supervisor. We did inform the supervisor that you need to claim to other channel, not through graduate school. So might be, I believe have that kind of effort also for students. So the money is belong to the student. And we inform the student that you did not need to give a single cent to the supervisor. Because the supervisor can claim through other channels, which is actually Q1 paper, we give it a different amount of money. Okay, might be later on you can ask IPS. Okay, thank you. But the initiative is not yet at the ministry level. Okay, but it's a good suggestion. Might be later on through the graduating council, we can actually think about it. Okay, yes, back there.
Hi Prof, I just wanted to ask because I'm a fast track PhD student, so I just wanted to ask if I am eligible to apply for my PhD.
You are in semester?
This semester is semester 4.
Oh, okay. Fast track student is actually eligible to apply for my PhD, but since you are in semester 4, that makes you are not eligible to apply for the new My Brain 15 scholarship for this year. The one who actually eligible to apply, the senior students who are already in the system, if this coming September you semester 3, you are eligible to apply. Because My Brain will give you 2 years more sponsorship for the 4th semester of your study. Fast track is actually eligible to apply. Okay. Any other questions? No? Okay, so thank you very much. Good luck in your study. Remember my 3 tips. Stay healthy, sleep, have enough sleep, exercise and eat well. Besides, you might be knowledgeable in your research area, but that 3 things is very, very important. Remember, a human body is actually related to the biological thing. Okay, your brain is connected to what you eat. Isn't it? Yeah? So please do exercise, go for jogging, get what you call it, normal BMI. Thank you very much.
So as a token of our appreciation, I would like to invite Professor Dr. Wan Haliza Abdul Majid, Dean of Institute of Graduate Studies, University of Malaya, to the stage to present the souvenir to Yang Berbahagia Professor Dr. Zaidatun Tasir, Chairman of Deans of Graduate Studies Council. Thank you, Professor Dr. Wan Haliza Abdul Majid, for the souvenir giving session just now. Honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, our seminar will have a lunch break and you are invited to the foyer to enjoy your meal. Please come back at 2:30 p.m. for us to start our next session. Thank you. And before that, attention to all audience, I have an announcement to make, asking for cooperation for all to remove your car if you park behind another car, because there is a problem with others to get out the car from the parking lot. Thank you. Ada kejap.